Hey everyone, thanks so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
The death of Ace breaks more than just the world. It breaks fate itself. Thrown into the One Piece universe 10 years before canon, a grieving outsider meets a young Monkey D. Luffy and makes a single decision. This time, Ace will not die. As Luffy's journey begins far earlier than it should, the future slowly unravels, bringing Sabo back into the picture, exposing hidden truths like the mysterious A-Clan, and forcing the brothers to face a destiny that was never meant to change. With friendship, sacrifice, and defiance against fate at its core, this rewritten timeline becomes a battle not just against enemies, but against the future itself. Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is The Chronicle by ThiefofStealth. Respect to author.
Chapter 1 updated. Ace, Luffy, watch out. Baris, I'm sorry, but it looks like we couldn't meet again for a while. What the hell are you saying? Don't say that as if you're going to die. Thank you everyone for being my family. Ari SS. XXX. Baris. I turn my head to look at my friend, Eid, who seems a little annoyed. You spaced out again. I told you to help me do this assignment, didn't I? She scolds me. Oh right, assignments. I can only laugh nervously at that and start focusing at the assignment. But doing all of these assignments is such a pain in the ass, even though I have to do it. But then after a while, I get tired of it. I stretch out as I stand up. I need to grab some fresh air. Thankfully the teacher isn't present, so there's still free time until the next subject. I'm going to the restroom, go continue it for a moment by yourself, alright Eid? I ask as I stand up. I'm not really going to the restroom, but I'm not that bad of a bad liar, right? Yeah, just don't take you time on it. We still got plenty left unanswered. She replies. I just grin at her as a reply as I walk out from the noisy classroom. It's still a wonder how there's no teacher to check on my current classroom because honestly, it's pretty noisy and too lively. I start to walk around the school, walking down the stairs to the first floor. As I turn to the hallway, I see a weird-looking door right next to the stairs. I raise my eyebrow and walk closer. Curiosity kills the cat, they say. But satisfaction brings it back, I continue. But as soon as I open the door and mindlessly, which I'm pretty famously for, step into a bright light, I suddenly smell salt water. And just like that, I kinda have a feeling that I'm actually falling, as I can feel that there's nothing under my feet when I stepped in. But before I can fully process that feeling, I blacked out. Eventually I wake up, but with salty taste in my mouth and a body soaked with water. I cough and breathe heavily. Slowly, I open my eyes and saw, guess what? Sand. And then, further in front of me, a jungle. I close my eyes to adjust to the light in the insane setting, and then open my eyes again to see an approaching pair of boots. Hands wrap around me and gather me in their arms. I start focusing my eyesight at the person who rescued me. A straw hat on top of bright red hair, along with a warm smile. I can't see more than that because of the blinding sunlight. Damn you, Mr. Sun. And it's hot too. Don't worry little one, you'll be fine, the person says and smiles at me. I just nod and lose consciousness again. Why did that person look so familiar? Eventually, I wake up again with an uncomfortable throbbing in my head, especially at the old scar I got when I was younger. I try to sit up, but the throbbing got worse, so I just lay down on the bed for a while to lessen the pain. Wait, a bed. Ah, you finally woke up. I turn and see an old man with a kind smile approaches me. I groan and slowly try to sit up. The old man grabs a glass of water and gives it to me. My throat burns, reminding me that salt water is definitely not good for your throat. As I hold out my hand to grab the glass of water, I almost scream out in horror. My hands are freaking small. And also, the weights on my chest are gone. I panic silently. What the hell is going on? Little girl, are you okay? How are you feeling? The old man asks in concern. I quickly regain my sanity and laugh nervously. I grab the glass of water and drain it. I wipe my mouth with the back of my hand and give the glass back to the old man. I guess I'm just shocked because the last time I woke up, I was lying on the sand and there's jungle in front of me. But now, I'm on a bed. I answer him before I remember that I somehow got saved by a kind Samaritan when I gained consciousness before. Say, old man, can I ask who you are and who my savior is? I ask, and the old man laughs possibly on my misery or my frankness. I'm Pete, the village's doctor. The man who saved you is the Akagami Pirates captain, Akagami no Shanks. You understand what I'm saying, little girl. I nodded and blinked for a few times. Shanks, Akagami Pirates. Like a ton of bricks falling onto me, I all at once realize who they are. The infamous Shanks from One Piece. Damn it, why didn't I realize it sooner that he saved me? Wait, if Shanks is here, then, I'm in One Piece world now. My head start to spin at the information that's too much for my small brain and I actually black out. Again, XXX. Little girl. Hey, hang in there. Pete exclaims as his patient suddenly falls unconscious. The doctor panics for a moment, but gets distracted by a certain red-haired pirate entering the room. Evenin', Doc. Shanks greets with wide smile. Shanks. I didn't see you there. Yep. So, any news from the girlie? Shanks asks, glancing at the girl on the bed. The girl, Eris, is unconscious with bandages around the scalp of her head. She seems to be around 5 to 7 year old, but she's wearing such strange, obviously too big clothes, which is, unbeknownst to Shanks, her school uniform. She woke up earlier, but she fell unconscious again, Pete explains. Shanks blinks and laughs at that, but Pete scolds him for being loud. I'll watch over her. You can go check on the other patients. Shanks tells him as he sits down next to the bed, pulling a chair to do so. Pete nods and walks out from the room. The pirate decides to observe the girl, who is now sleeping softly. He chuckles and starts to poke the girl's chubby left cheek. He keeps poking and poking until he gets slapped in the nose by a small hand. And even then the child didn't wake up. Shanks laughs in amusement, rubbing his nose. The girl stirs and turns her back to the soon-to-be Yonko. Shanks smiles and ruffles the girl's hair, but not too hard to be considerate of her wounds. I hope you wake up soon, girlie, Shanks whispers, continuing to poke the girl's cheek, because I want to introduce you to a certain boy in this town. Chapter 2 updated. I lay on bed, staring at an unfamiliar setting. This is not my room. And this is not my bed, from what I feel that my skin tells me. Where the hell am I? I sit up and yawn. It takes me a while to figure out the reason. I had been thrown into a whole different world that completely defies any logical explanation I ever knew in my whole life, and which also will only happen in those fanfics I've been reading before I got thrown into this world. The anime/manga world. The One Piece world. Ooh, you're finally awake. I turn and my pair of dark brown beads meet a pair of dark eyes looking straight at me, less than 10 centimeters away. I scream out and back off into the inconveniently placed wall, where I bump the back of my head against it. I curse silently as I rub gently on the back of my bumped head, which also unfortunately travels the pain to the bandaged area on my head. How fucking great. Are you okay? Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I look back to Shanks, who is now scratching his cheek as he laughs nervously. I pout and start to pinch his cheeks with my now small hands. Hard. And I stretch it outwards to intensify my point about my current annoyance towards him. Oh wow, it hurts. Okay, I'm sorry. He screams. Satisfied, I let go and jumped off the bed. I hiss a bit as the cold floor touches my bare feet before I start to walk around the place to get used to the temperature, and finally leave the room. I hear footsteps trailing behind me. I turn and look up. It's Shanks. I guess I should thank him for saving me. Shanks. He hums and crouches down so we're at the same eye level. Thank you, for saving me. I blush and look down. The red-haired pirate chuckles in amusement and ruffles my hair. I feel my face getting hotter. Man, this is embarrassing. Not to mention I'm a huge Shanks fan. It's not that I liked him, I just respected him, like an apprentice idolizing their mentor with respect. Or like a good and badass uncle you really respect. Come on, I want to introduce you to someone. He's 2 years older than you, I think. How old are you anyway, girlie? Crap, I knew he's going to ask that. Sheet. I don't really know. I never count. Shit, my voice changed too. My hair is still the same length, despite my smaller body and higher voice. But the way my bangs hung over and kinda covered my eyes, I'm seriously debating on cutting it. I see. Well, I guess you're probably around the same age, so that didn't matter. Well, let's go then. Shanks smiles and holds his hand out for me to hold. I take it and start walking in a direction I barely know. Or is it, really? Actually, yes. Because I'm bad with memorizing roads, especially if I got it wrong the first time. We walk slowly with me still barefoot and plenty of people are greeting Shanks. Sometimes they smile and greet me, but I cower behind Shanks, still holding his hand. Shanks only laughs and ruffles my hair. Again, I pout and pinch the back of his hand because my hair gets tangled because of him. He just grins. I made him hiss by pinching him. It became a routine. Then we stopped at a bar, or what I thought looked like a bar. I never went to a bar before, well, until now I suppose. The bar is full of men with scary-looking appearances. Shanks greets them and they greet back with smiles. I guess they're part of Shanks' crew, or at least kind people. I don't know. We keep walking until we stop in front of a long counter with several tall stools. And guess what? On one of the stools is the main character of One Piece, looking at me with his all-too-familiar D-sized grin. Yup, the soon-to-be famous pirate captain, Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy has a strange way of greeting me. He jumps down from the stool and lands in front of me. I swear, his soul-invading stares are kinda creepy, making me feel a little uncomfortable. He just keeps on staring, as if he's looking for something. Apparently he found it, because he's grinning again and points his thumb to himself in full confidence. I'm Luffy. What's your name? He asks. Damn, what name should I use? I panicked, thinking quickly. I think I'll change my last name, because my last name is a weird one. My middle name is fine, but Luffy has a one-letter name, so I decided to copy him and use the first letter of my name. I smirk. And, of course, never forget to turn the last and first name around. I'm Ryuan A. Baris. Nice to meet you, Luffy. I smile at him. He grins and sits back on the tall stool. Because I'm afraid of falling and making a fool of myself, I decide to just watch him and Shanks arguing to each other, or a one-way argument from Luffy, because Shanks is only laughing before feeling my neck starting to feel sore. Man, my neck's starting to hurt. Stupid tall people. Era, Shanks, you're back. I turn and spot a young woman with dark green hair and a bandana across her head. It's Makino. Oh, hello there little girl. Are you the one that Shanks rescued? She asks, smiling kindly. I nod and squeeze Shanks' hand in my own, which, unbeknownst to both of us, are still holding each other. Makino giggles and crouches down to ruffle my hair. Aren't you a shy one, Oris-chan? That's so cute. Oh, I'm Makino. It's nice to meet you. She says, still smiling. I smile back at her before looking back at Shanks and Luffy. I told you I'm going to be the Pirate King. Luffy brags, just wait and see, you bastard. I just give him a nervous look. Oi, Luffy. It's not good to talk like that to an adult, especially when you're still a little kid. I avert my gaze back to Shanks, who is laughing at Luffy for some reason, along with all his crew. The two of them kept arguing for what seemed to me like 10 minutes or so. Bored, I let go of my grip from Shanks' hand and walked around the bar. Eventually I met a man with curly blonde hair. He grins at me and introduces himself. I'm Yasope. Feel better now, girly. I nod and touch my head, which was still bandaged. Yeah, thank you for asking. It's better than the first time I woke up, I quickly explained. I'm Aris, by the way. Nice to meet ya. He laughs and pats my head. You know, I have a son named Usopp. He has a long nose and black curly hair, he got it from his mother. Oh yeah, Yasope was Usopp's dad. I almost forgot about that. So you left him to sail across the world? I ask. He nods and smiles. Yeah, I miss him though. Maybe it's because you kids are here and my son's about Luffy's age. It's nostalgic. Yasope laughs and pats my head again. I nod politely and turn to see if those lousy guys finally stop arguing. They have. Thank the Lord, because I don't really like loud voices, including an especially loud, crying people. I slowly walk back to Luffy and Shanks. Shanks looks at me and waves me over. I walk a little faster but suddenly I trip and fall, landing on my face to the wooden floor first. Thankfully I don't wear glasses. Everyone looks shocked, especially Shanks. I push myself up slowly but my head is throbbing again and I feel something is flowing down my face. Shit, don't tell me the wound opened. Baris. Shanks quickly runs toward me and holds me up. I examine his expression and come to the conclusion that he looks stupid. It still surprises me, though. Shanks' expression is full of guilt and worry, the same as my mom's expression whenever I got hurt. It has been a long time since someone has worried about me like that. Makino, bring me a medical kit, Shanks orders. Makino nods and quickly grabs the medical kit. She runs and gives it to Shanks. He mutters his thanks and opens the bandage with a scissor slowly. After the bandage is off from my head, Shanks opens the medical kit and takes out an alcohol wipe. I hissed in pain from the stinging of the alcohol. Fucking hell, that hurts even more than the actual pain from the wound. After a while, which feels like forever because Shanks made it as slow and gentle as possible, finally the injury has been bandaged up again. Everyone sighs in relief. Shanks actually looks almost like a zombie. His eyes are red and his expression is really serious. The pirate then switches from zombie-like face to relief and sighs. I giggle when I remember his expression from before. Nyehehey, Shanks looks really stupid when you're so serious, I tease him. He glares at me as I turn my head to the other side and giggle, while Shanks' slightly traitorous crew laughs. Thanks for the concern, but don't worry about me, I'll be fine. This little injury will probably heal in a few days. I grin at him. He just sighs and pats my head for the 50 gazillionth time. I'm worried about your well-being, you know, 'cause you seem like the clumsy and reckless type. He mutters softly as he ruffles his own red locks. I giggle at that and give him another grin. Don't worry, old man Shanks. I'll be fine, I reply back happily and the crew laugh even harder when I call him old man, while Shanks himself is ready to protest. I took a sip of my warm chocolate milk given to me by Makino when Shanks operated on me as I ignored the old man. By the way Makino, Shanks calls, I know this is a lot to ask, but can she stay with you? As you know, I can't bring her along because a pirate ship isn't a place to raise children, plus it's dangerous. I'll give you money to help her. Shanks picks me up and puts me on his lap. I sip slowly on the milk as he starts stroking my head. I enjoy his big and gentle hand on my head. I'm actually starting to get sleepy and soon I slump back on his chest. I yawn and put the cup on the counter. I can hear a chuckle and a giggle and feel a hand ruffling my locks. Even though I'm sleepy, I still want to hear their conversation, so I try my best to stay awake. It's fine. I would love to take care of a girl and have another child around other than Luffy. He needs more friends around his age, after all. I don't need money. Come, let me lead the way to her room, Makino replies. I feel myself being turned around and my face is in front of Shanks' chest, his strong arms around me to hold me from falling. I rested my head on his chest and closed my eyes, his steady heartbeat is lulling me more and more into a deep sleep. Then Shanks carries me to a room, Makino trailing behind. A few moments later, I was pulled away from Shanks' broad chest and his calming heartbeat, which got replaced shortly by a soft thing and a pillow. I feel a hand ruffling my head. I can't help but smile with my closed eyes as I turn and curl in a fetal position. I actually love being petted or ruffled, especially on my head. Too bad there isn't any tradition like that in my home country. I can start thinking about the future with Luffy later, but now, I'm off into dreamland. Chapter 3 Updated. I wake up with a weight on me. I groan and turn to see what the hell is on me. It's Luffy. Damn it, he's so freaking heavy. Luffy, get off of me. You're heavy, I complain. You're awake. Luffy notes, happily ignoring my misery. Come on, Makino's waiting for you. Makino was waiting for me. For what? I asked. Dunno, she just told me to wake you up. I tried waking you up 20 minutes ago, but you still didn't wake up until now. Now come on, Luffy exclaims, in one action jumping off me and running out the room. It's been a few days since I've lived in Fuchsia Village. Luffy had been kind enough to introduce me to most of the villagers here, but I don't do well with strangers that I mostly just cling to Luffy's back. Thankfully, none of them minded it and still being super friendly. The village is pretty much calm and peaceful, and sometimes just being in the middle of the village makes me sleepy. I yawn and sit up before following the 7-year-old's bubbling and energetic moves, only carefully. My child's feet aren't as long as they normally are, not that they're that long before, and I'm afraid of falling. Also, the injury on my head still hasn't healed yet, so I don't want to risk hurting myself more. Oh, you're finally up. I never thought you'd sleep longer than Luffy. Makino says when she sees me walking downstairs. I only nod and rub my eyes, cleaning off the sands from my eyes while she's watching fondly with a smile. I made breakfast for you, so you can eat now or later. Makino picks me up and places me on the tall stool at the counter, right next to Luffy. Then she presents me with a plate of fried rice and a glass of water. Do you need help, Oris-chan? Makino asks with a smile, noticing me not eating. I feel blood rush to my cheeks and shake my head. She giggles and pats my head, before walking upstairs. I wonder what she's doing, but she returns with clothes and a bath towel. I realize that it's bath time later. Oris-chan, after you're finished eating, you can take a bath, Makino tells me. The bathroom is over there, right next to the stairs. She points it out. Call me if you need my help. Makino puts the clothes and the towel on the counter. I nod and continue eating. Even after eating it all, I'm still hungry, but I figure it would have been rude to ask for more. I take the plate and the glass and jump to the ground. I approached Makino and give it to her. Makino smiled and ruffled my head as she gratefully accepted the dirty utensils. Oris-chan, want me to help you take a bath? She asks me. My head still hasn't healed yet. I should have her help me change the bandages on my wound. I nod and touch the bandage with my hand. She nods, understanding my silent gesture, and grabs the clothes and towel again before leading me to the bathroom. Inside the bathroom, Makino gently strips me and turns the water in the bathtub on. The green-haired woman ties my hair into a bun and places me in the tub. The water is warm, to say the least. I thought it would be cold or something, but I guess Makino really is a kind person. As Makino cleans my body, I start to play with the water. I don't know why, but the water suddenly seems interesting enough to play with. There's also a rubber duck in the bathtub, which makes me feel like a little kid again. Back home, I would be caught dead playing with a rubber duck, yet here I am, playing with the duck. Makino giggles as she watches me playing with the rubber duck. Finally finished, Makino helps me into some clothes that, surprisingly, fit. She unties my hair and brushes through the tangles with a hairbrush. Then after that, she carefully cleanses my injury with alcohol, still stings and makes me hiss, and reapplies it back with fresh bandages gently. When we finished, we walked out of the bathroom and into the bar. Luffy is on his usual bar stool, sipping his orange juice. I hop up on the stool and turn to look at him. Hey Lu-chan, how do I look? I ask him with a grin. He turns his head and grins back. You look great, he replies happily. I couldn't agree with him more. The clothes Makino had picked out for me is a plain rose-colored sundress with a big white ribbon on the chest area. I wasn't actually a fan of dresses, but oh well. I look around, hoping to find Shanks and his crew, but no avail, they aren't here. Did they leave already? I thought. I frown, thinking, and then shake my head. No, the mountain bandits haven't been here yet. Shanks and his crew are probably at the ship. I sit on the stool next to Luffy, deciding to just wait. Unfortunately, I'm not a patient person. Therefore, after a minute or so I finally fed up. That's it, I'm bored. Outside, away, I bid Luffy a silent see ya later, and walked out of Makino's bar. Just as I had closed the bar doors, it opened again. Hey Aris, where are you going? I turn and, sure enough, run into Luffy. Considering I don't know how old I am in this form, but based on my height, I think I'm pretty much the same as Luffy, but who knows. I'm going for a walk. I reply with a small smile, wanna come? Luffy's face lights up and smiles brightly. Sure. He holds out his hand and I take it. Luffy tells Makino that we're going for a walk. I expect her to at least protest, but she just says to be back by lunch. I guess the culture here and back in my home world is pretty different, huh? Or Makino is trustworthy enough that the town is safe enough for children to walk around in broad daylight. Luffy drags me through town, insisting me to see every single inch of the place again. We greet so many townspeople. Luffy doesn't seem to mind the attention, considering he lives here, but I'm still not used to strangers. I hide myself behind Luffy or look down plenty of times, anything to avoid eye contact. On the tour, we met a florist. He greets Luffy and me, and of course I hide behind the boy, but eventually I take a peek. Both the florist and Luffy talk to each other for a while until they end their conversation. The florist gives me a bouquet of sunflowers. I gasp in surprise and slowly take the bouquet. I look back at the florist who smiles softly. I blush and smile, muttering, thank you, to him before hiding again. The florist chuckles and ruffles my hair softly, and then we leave. I look back at the bouquet and smile. I love sunflowers. They are so beautiful and their seeds are delicious. Back in my world, I really wanted to plant some sunflowers, but my mom wouldn't let me because there was no space. Plus, there weren't any seeds for sale back in my home country, or at least in my area. I have never seen a real sunflower before. This is the first time I see the real thing. Usually I just see them on television, or books with pictures. Shishishi, you really like that flower aren't you? Luffy asks as he grins at me. I nod and smile. And then I remember what should be happening at the bar right about then. Luffy, let's head back. I say, I'm sure Shanks and the others are already at the bar. Luffy nods and we head home. Home, huh? When we arrive, Shanks and the others are already there. They all greet us as we walk toward Shanks and Makino at the bar counter. Hey, welcome back, Anchor, Shrimp. I glared at Shanks, who is the one who dared to call me, Shrimp. The redhead just laughs. Everything is normal for a couple minutes. Luffy is obviously offended and enraged at his own nickname and starts arguing with Shanks. The 7-year-old stands up in fury on the stool. Oh boy, the stool is pretty tall. I hope Luffy is pretty careful so he won't fall. Suddenly a bunch of scary-looking men come to the bar and walk all pompous-like toward the counter. I know this scene, I realize it all at once. This is when those men, the bandits, are demanding Makino to bring out all the sake. Or beer. Whatever, the bandits made a fool of Shanks, and then they left. Being the little kid he is, Luffy is furious because Shanks didn't react and only laughed. Luffy then decides to eat out his anger, and he eats Shanks' Gomu Gomu no Mi. Which is happening right now. Shanks seems to suddenly realize that Luffy is eating his devil fruit, because he hangs him upside down and shakes him around for him to puke out the fruit. But his efforts are futile. It is too late. Luffy's legs stretch out until his face plants the floor. Everyone looks stunned at the scene. Except me, of course. You fool. That's a devil fruit. You wouldn't be able to swim anymore. Shanks yells at him. There's silence, and then. What? I swear, Luffy screams so loud I thought my eardrums were going to bleed. Thankfully I quickly cover my ears before he screams. Losing your swimming ability for rubber power. Man, that's stupid. I comment with a grin as Shanks looks at me, stunned. How did you know? He asks, his face adopting a new definition of shocked. I shrug nonchalantly. I put my sunflowers on the table, climbed up the stool next to Luffy and sat down. Then I cross my legs and my arms, resting them to my knees. It's common knowledge, right? I mean, there are books about devil fruits. You know, for the appearance and the power each one fruit has. Devil fruit users will drown if you throw them into the water, like a hammer. Or in Luffy's case, like an anchor. I laugh after I finish my speech. Luffy frowns and starts yelling at me. I just look away, covering my ears, and whistle. Actually I can't whistle so I just did the motion but failed to produce any sound. You know what? You're smarter than normal kids. It sure surprises me, Shanks admits as he smiles at me. I give him a smug smile. Of course I'm smarter than a kid. I'm technically a teenager. Not to mention that I watched every One Piece chapter episode, along with diving deep into Wiki for hours, thus giving me full and nearly complete knowledge of the concept of devil fruits. Though considering I got thrown into the One Piece universe itself, I don't think I can update my knowledge over it anymore. Thank you, Shanks. I appreciate your compliment, I say, smiling sweetly. He laughs and ruffles my hair. Look Luffy, your friend is smarter than you. You should be as smart as her. Go read some books, Shanks says to Luffy as he begins to ruffle his hair as well. Luffy frowns at that and shoves his hand away. I mean, knowledge is power, after all. You should really try reading some books to gain knowledge to empower yourself. And in this case, for your rubber brain. I add and grin when he glares at me in annoyance. Shut up, he protests before he pouts. I giggle at his reaction and sigh softly. This will be a long day. Chapter 4 updated. I actually wake up when I feel that there's something crushing me. Still half awake, I gasp out and kick the thing off. It hits the floor with a loud crash and a familiar yelp. Curious as to what the random mass and voice are, I lean over the bed to look. Immediately, I sigh. Luffy. Geez, Luffy, you should know that your body's bigger and heavier than mine. I tell him as I sit up. Luffy shots up, his face is set in a defensive pout. Well, if you weren't a heavy sleeper, I wouldn't have to sit on you. An angry vein pops on my forehead. I smile sweetly at him and pull his cheeks to the length at which only a rubber man would consider as normal. You got a problem with me being a heavy sleeper? I ask, still smiling and eyes staring straight at him. Luffy pales and the temperature in the room become a little cold. Luffy quickly shakes his head. My smiling fading, I stretch his cheeks even wider and let go. It makes a loud smack, which also sends him stumbling backwards because of the recoil. I scratch the back of my head and sigh heavily as I begin to get out of bed. As I stretch out, Luffy stands up and childishly rubs his cheeks. I laugh at his expressions while Luffy pouts and points at me accusingly. What are you laughing for? That hurts, you know. He shouts at me. I stop laughing and look him in the eye. So, if you want to become a pirate, you should put up with such a little injury, right? Luffy flinches and looks down. Damn, I don't mean to make him feel bad. As if my thoughts make him feel better, Luffy perked up with a bright smile. You're right, I shouldn't complain about a little injury. I sigh and smile at that. Luckily he doesn't feel down. It's quite the opposite, actually. I chuckle in amusement. That's the spirit. Now let's go down and eat, I'm starving. I say as I pull myself out from the bed. I walk out of my room with Luffy trailing behind. We hop up on our stools and Makino greets us, before placing 2 plates of food on the table with a smile. Luffy and I gobble up our food as quickly as possible, in an unofficial competition to see who could eat the most food. After a few minutes, our little competition is over, with Luffy being the winner, of course. Curse him and his bottomless stomach. I guess that is to be expected from a rubber boy, or a D, in general. Man, now I'm ultra full. Back at home, Mom would be angry if I ate too much. Maybe because my weight would increase and I actually would barely move at all from one spot for hours because I'm too busy playing with my laptop. Apparently Luffy and Makino don't care at all, to my satisfaction. Or maybe because Luffy is, well, Luffy. And Makino probably just thinks that I'm still a growing kid, so I gotta eat plenty so that I get stronger. Luffy, have you taken a bath? I ask him, patting my bulging stomach. He shakes his head. I chuckle evilly and allow my bangs to shadow my eyes. Luffy gulps. Let's take a bath together then. I ordered, come on. I grab his hand and jump off the stool, my fear of falling gone. Being a rubber boy, Luffy's arm simply stretches. Of course. What? No way. He protests as he uses his other arm to cling over the table. Come, now, I say, with a sweet smile and eyes looking straight at him. Luffy gulps again and quickly jumps off the stool, following my words. Makino giggles at my antics. Ignoring her, I allow my creepy face to fade. Now let's go. You stink, Luffy, I inform him bluntly, pulling him along to the bathroom. When we walk in, I turn on the warm water. Luffy and I strip our clothes and throw them in the basket. I hear a splash and turn to see that my idiotic but cute friend has already jumped in. I face palm but also can only look at him fondly. Thankfully my head already healed up with only a band-aid as evidence of there ever being an injury. We clean each other's backs and wash off. After drying and dressing up, Luffy and I ran out. I grinned and poked Luffy. Bet I'll get to Makino first. I announce, already running. With a huge grin, Luffy accepts the challenge and sprints after me. We trip over each other and we both laugh as we push ourselves up. But as soon as we realize that there are people in the bar, we fall silent. It's the bandits from yesterday. We quickly walk towards Makino. She looks at us, her eyes heavy with fear, but also a warning. That, of course, went unnoticed by Luffy. Makino is saying something to me, but her words are drowned out by Luffy's. He's standing next to the bandits, his chin held high in childish pride. You're the bandits from yesterday. You, apologize now, Luffy demands while pointing at the leader, Higuma. Eyebrows rose as Higuma turns to face Luffy. What do you mean, kid? We just came here to have a drink. Why should we have to apologize? The bandit asks with a mocking tone and smirk. Man, how badly I wanted to kick that disgusting face of his. Unfortunately, Makino is holding me, so I can't. You bastard. Apologize now, Luffy demands of him again, eyes looking straight at the ugly bandit. I hold down a giggle, amused. But Higuma, however, was not. A vein pops on his head. And then, I swear, if I blinked, I would have missed it. Higuma snatches the boy and walks out of the bar, followed by the rest of the bandits. No, Luffy. I struggle against Makino's grip and run after him, ignoring Makino's call. Soon after, I find Luffy and the bandits near the docks. I tackle one of the bandits, making the man stumble and stares at me in shock. After a second, I grab his arm and bite down, hard. My teeth are unusually sharp, and as my dad told me, is equivalent to the bite of a wolf. The guy screeches in pain and flails his arm around, trying to shake me off. His effort is to no avail, as I'm still attached to his arm. The more he swings, the harder and more painful my jaw grip becomes. Eris, I hear Luffy yell, but I don't care and just close my eyes. I may be reckless, but I won't attack unless I have to. For instance, right now, something warm and slightly salty fills my mouth. I quickly release my killer hold and spit out the liquid. It is red. Oh, gross, it's blood. I repeatedly spit the excess liquid out of my mouth. I look at the man's still bleeding arm and glare at him with an animalistic growl. You brat. Higuma tries to punch me, but I somehow can see the movement he's going to make that I quickly sidestep. As his arm passes right in front of my mouth, I chomp him harder than the guy the first just bit. He screeches and pushes my head to let go, but I bite harder, if that was possible, until I taste blood again. I let go and spit it toward his face, and guess what, right into his eye. That's so disgusting. Before I can even blink, a foot slams into my back, shoving me roughly in the ground. I know without looking that it's Higuma trapping me. I wince at the throbbing in my back. Then, hands grab my arms and pull backwards hard. I screech in pain as the pressure on my back increases and my arms are nearly pulled out of their sockets. Stop it, I hear Makino yell. The pressure is decreasing, but it's still there. Whatever they did, I'll pay you just to leave them alone. I recognize the voice as the mayor, would slap. Turning my head, I confirm my theory. The mayor and Teary barmaid are standing a couple meters away, begging for the bandits to spare Luffy and me, but Higuma laughs. No, this kid pissed me off, and the other one will be fun to kill. I'll teach it not to be stupid for attacking me. Did he just call me an it? Despite the position I'm in, I decide I will really kill the damn bandit for not only attacking Luffy, but also insulting Shanks. You fucking bandits. I scream, enraged. My voice is muffled against the ground, but I still get my point across. You're gonna go straight to hell. Crack. I scream in pain, tears blurring my vision. That damn bandit. Higuma pulls my arms even harder, and I don't have to be a doctor to know that I'm definitely not okay. Stop it. Don't hurt Eris, Luffy yelled, only to get kicked by the rest of the bandits. It hurts so much, I think my back and arms are going to break. I have never experienced a pain as intense as this, it hurts so much. Just when I think I'm going to black out, I hear a deadly calm voice. So that's why nobody was at the bar. Shanks. Looking up, I observe Shanks gazing softly at Luffy and me, and then glaring at the bandits. Apparently Shanks thinks this is the time to be joking, because he says to Luffy in a low voice that he thought his punches were as strong as pistols. I chuckle softly. Man, even in a time like this, he's still making jokes and all calm. Typical Shanks. Shut up, Luffy yells. Shanks then turns to look at me with a grin before narrowing his eyes at Higuma, who is laughing again. Oh, it's those filthy pirates. I growl loudly. He is still insulting Shanks, damn it. The red-haired pirate turns serious again, his eyes shadowed by Luffy's soon-to-be straw hat. I don't care if you spill booze on me or insult me, he starts. Shanks' words send chills down my spine. He's that intimidating. Hell, even if you spit on me I won't care. Shanks looks up, his eyes wide in a glare that can kill. His voice becomes louder. But if you harm my friends, I can't forgive you. I smile weakly, the pain draining the energy out of my body. Higuma must have been stupid or really dense, because he apparently didn't hear the warning in Shanks' voice. As if to answer the words, Higuma increases the pressure with his foot and arms. I only have enough energy to wince and groan in pain. Forgive me. Higuma sneers, as if I'm scared by some nobody. I can kill you. A random bandit pulls a gun to Shanks' temple, my eyes widens. Shanks stood there silently, his eyes shadowed even more. Now that you've drawn your pistol, are you willing to use it? Shanks asks, his voice a few octaves lower, and the bandit stared at him in confusion. What do you mean? I'm saying that guns aren't for threats, they're for actions. A second later, as if on cue, Lucky Roo shoots the bandit point blank, ripping meat casually off a bone as if the violence isn't anything new. The bandits freak out, Higuma silently increases my trial. Another crack. I try my best not to cry, because even if you cry, the torturer is never going to be merciful. That was dirty. One of the bandits protests, staring at his accomplice in shock, and Shanks chuckles. We aren't saints, we're pirates. I got this, Captain, Ben growls. He pulls out his gun. Above me, Higuma yells out for Ben to stop. I choke out a gasp and a loud grunt, the pain so great I seriously thought I'm gonna die. Great, I muse begrudgingly. I just got here and now I'm going to die. Man, the goddess of fate isn't really on my side this time around. Ben stops, and with a glare from Shanks, Higuma panics even more and pulls on my arms even harder. Crack. My eyes almost bulge out of the sockets and I screech out as loud as I can. Tears fill my eyes, but I shut them tightly and start breathing heavily. Higuma releases my arms that I'm pretty sure just pulled out from their sockets. Black dots dance in front of my eyes. Then I passed out. Dot, 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 dot. I wake up in the arms of Yasop. I squinted my eyes and saw that we're in an infirmary. I don't know where, but it doesn't look like the one in town, so I figure it's the one in the Red Force. I wince as both of my arms pulse in pain. Where's Luffy? I croak, my voice hoarse. And Shanks, are they alright? Yasop glances at me in surprise, but looks at me fondly. You're in the worst condition, and yet you're still worried about others. You're different from the others, aren't you? He turns his head. I ignored him and tried to sit up, but failed as I cry out in pain and Yasop turned his head to look at me. Don't do that, he tells me in a scolding tone. I pout. I know Shanks and Luffy will be alright, but I'm still worried. Shanks lost his arm in this scene. Yasop is rendered defenseless by my expression. He sighs. Fine. After Higuma let you go, he grabbed Luffy and used a smoke bomb to escape to the ocean, taking Luffy with him. My eyes widened, even though I already knew this. But Shanks went after him. Don't worry. Luffy will be back in no time. I sigh and nod. The door opens, conveniently waiting until our conversation is over to do so. A doctor comes in. Okay, I'm ready to fix your arms, Aris. He says as he approaches me. I nod, a bit nervous. I never broke any part of my bones before. I heard from someone that the process didn't hurt that bad, but being a kid, my pain tolerance is much lower and I sometimes hate pain, especially sharp pain. But, I need to increase my tolerance because staying with Luffy means I'm in for a lifetime of pain. It's going to be a journey. Yasop seems to notice because he starts talking to me about his son Usopp again as a distraction. The sniper continues talking about Usopp and similar subjects while I just listen and hum and nod in return. While he talks, the doctor casts on both of my forearms. It's kind of heavy, but bearable. I only winced a little by the time he was done as Yasop finally finished telling me all about Usopp. The ends of the casts wrapped around my palms. I raise an eyebrow at the color, bright Shanks-esque red. The doctor smirks. Shanks wanted it that way. He insists, raising his hands up in a mock defense. I laugh, but it reminds me of Shanks, so I'm fine with it. As I quiet down and after the doctor put on arm braces for both of my arms, we heard a random crew member announce that Shanks and Luffy are back. I jumped down from Usopp's arms and ran, energized with the prospect of seeing Luffy and Shanks. Luffy is on Shanks' lap with his eyes closed, they're both dripping wet. I see Luffy is breathing and I sigh out in relief. Good, he's okay. I turn to look at Shanks, he's okay too, except for his arm. Tears already filled my eyes before I knew it and sobbed softly. I can't stand looking at people who are injured, it makes me wince, especially if it's because of me. Shanks smile at me, like, no worries, Aris, but it looks blurry because of my tears. Shanks looks above my head and I turn around to see Ben and the doctor approaching slowly. Ben takes Luffy and the doctor goes right to work, checking on Shanks' new stump of an arm with a serious and hardened face. I suck in the stupid snot that slowly comes out from my nostrils and shake my head. Come on Aris, you're stronger than this. You're a teenager, don't be such a baby. I berated myself. Hey Aris, you okay? Shanks asks calmly, as if everything is okay and that he hadn't had his arm bitten off just minutes ago. Anger rises in me. How dare he be concerned about me when he should be concerned about himself? I should ask you that. I retorted at him. Said pirate chuckles and pats the wood flooring across him with his only remaining hand. I walk over and sit down slowly. Luffy told me that you tried fighting those bandits and that you were strong. I'm proud of you, he says with a proud smile. It's not like it did anything, I mumble, slightly embarrassed. I just bit them, that's all. Shanks chuckles and shrugs. You're a kid and you were scared. He concludes. I glare at him but decide to let it go. It's pointless to argue with him, who is braver and stronger than me. Plus he's a lot older than me, physically and mentally. I'm just, whether I like it or not, a snotty kid. Yeah, you're older and braver than me, plus you're a pirate. Something like this is probably common to you, right? I point out. Shanks tries to stand up, but the doctor shoves him down with a stiff reprimand. Shanks just sticks his tongue out like a kid and laughs again. You really are a smart kid, he exclaims, ruffling my hair and roaring out a laugh with such gusto that the doctor scolds him again. I frowned, but didn't comment. Yet, old man, I insult quietly. Shanks smirks as he moves his upper body closer to me. The doctor glares at his captain, but then eventually gives up. What was that? You heard me, old man. With a mischievous grin, Shanks grazes my sides with his fingers. I yelp. Now, I'm actually not a ticklish person, but me in a younger body. Yeah, I have zero invincibility. Unveiling my weakness, Shanks tickles my sides. I keep yelping like a demented puppy, but stay still until the doctor orders Shanks to come with him and tell me to go rest at the sickbay. I just nod at the doctor's order and follow Usopp's steps as he escorted me to the sickbay while both Shanks and the doctor went somewhere. Maybe the doctor needs to operate on the stump and cut it off right at the socket of the bone, so it won't give Shanks any bad effect and it came off clean for the cut to heal up soon. Yasopp helps me onto the bed right next to Luffy's and I just lay down on the bed, staring onto the ceiling. I hear Yasopp said that Luffy's injuries are just scratches and slight drowning, but he's alright nonetheless. I hope both Shanks and Luffy will get well soon. The same could be hoped for my arms. Damn that bandit. May hell invite him for dinner and may he never return. Chapter 5 Updated. Shanks and his crew stayed around for a month or so until both Shanks and I healed up. The doctor keeps an eye on both of us as both Luffy and I hang around Shanks most of the time anyway. Doctor said I'm pretty lucky that I'm a child, so my broken bones will heal up in no time, compared to adults. Eventually, they're getting ready to continue their adventure again as they're gathering up supplies for their journey. It's such a shame that I can't help because of my broken bones, and sometimes Shanks scolds me to take a rest until I healed up, but I just stick my tongue out at him. I won't be seeing him again for years, after all. So I want to at least savor every moment with him. And of course, Luffy is thinking the same as he's always around Shanks too. But now it's time for them to leave. We're at the docks and Shanks' crew finally loaded up the last supplies for their journey as Shanks stands in front of us and turns to look at us. Hey Luffy, I'm sure you're going to miss us. Do you still wanna come? Shanks asks and Luffy shakes his head in reply. Yeah, I'll miss you, but I'm not going to beg you to take me with you. Luffy replies in confidence and Shanks starts to mess with him, which annoys Luffy a bit that he eventually yells that he himself is going to have a better crew than Shanks and become the Pirate King. Shanks seems amused by that as he takes off his straw hat and puts it on Luffy's head. This hat means a lot to me. I want you to keep an eye on it until you become the Pirate King, and then return it to me. Shanks tells Luffy with a happy smile. Luffy holding the hat to his chest and looking down as tears fall down to his face while Shanks turns to look at me and grins. I haven't known you for a while, but it was really nice meeting you. Shanks says as he digs into his pocket to grab something and slips it around my neck. I try to look closer at it, only to realize it's some kind of a necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. Eventually Shanks fiddles with it and opens the pendant, only to make it play a beautiful music box song. Turns out, the pendant is a music box locket, with unknown symbols on the front. It's very pretty and I've never seen anything like it. It's a gift from an old friend. I want you to have it and keep it safe for me. Can you do that for me? Shanks asks and I nod eagerly. But are you sure? It's a gift from your friend, after all. I ask back. I don't want to take someone's important gift. I'm pretty clumsy sometimes and it's the last thing I need for my future journeys. Shanks laughs as he pats my head. It's fine. I'm sure she'll be fine with it too. Besides, you remind me of her, so I want you to have it and keep it safe for me. He replies, or you can return it to me someday when we meet again. Sounds good. I look down and slowly take the locket closer to my face, as my arms are still healing. I can see some carvings in the locket, but it's too worn out for me. I flip it and I can see carvings of flowers on the back along with the wind up, while the front has unknown symbols. Okay. Thanks Shanks. I'll be sure to keep an eye on it. I grin at him. I never really got a gift from anyone, or at least not a pretty important gift like this one. Somehow, tears fill up my eyes and I wipe it off with the back of my eyes while Shanks just pats my head gently. Oh, but I never got to pay you back, I add and Shanks just gives me a hearty laugh. Yeah, like a kid like you could repay a big pirate like me. Shanks teases and I frown in annoyance at him, making him laugh and ruffling my hair for the last time before he leaves for his ship. This is the first time I feel alone when someone leaves me, but I just shake my head and brush it off. I'll be okay. I have Luffy and Makino here. I won't be lonely. We're all watching them until they're far off to the horizon. XXX. It's been a few weeks since Shanks and his crew sailed off. My arms finally healed up after a week Shanks left. I guess children's bones have different healing times, huh? I heard children with broken bones healed fast, but I never thought that it's going to be this fast. Anyway, Luffy and I hang out and live at Makino's bar/diner. Sometimes I wonder why she lets two children hanging out in a place where adults sometimes came to get stupid drunk, but whatever. It's her property, so she can do whatever she wants. But still, it's almost lunchtime when I play tag with Luffy and stop when Makino calls us for lunch. We quickly sat down on the stools and started eating our lunch that was already served by Makino. The bar is pretty crowded today. And as usual, Luffy finishes his meal first. And suddenly I hear a loud crash and a yell from behind us. Where is my grandson? Luffy squeaks out in fear as he immediately dives behind the counter. I turn around to look at the person, and I already know who it is. A huge old man in a tan shorts and Hawaiian shirt with gray hair and beard. Yep, he's Garp alright. But also bad news is Makino just went out when we ate our lunch, and now one by one people start to exit the bar as if they know this is none of their business and they better get out ASAP. Can't blame them, to be honest. Though I admit, Garp is huge. Probably as big as a gorilla, or maybe bigger. Eventually after everyone left and only leaving us in the bar, Garp grins at me and approaches me. Have you seen my grandson? Garp asks, pretty loudly, that I wince for my poor ears. Damn, is his volume always in constant high volume? My ears are ringing as I look up at his face with slight annoyance. Yeah, I answered, he just ran away when you broke the wall. I add as I stretch out and lean on the counter while still staring at him. Not exactly a lie, but also not a truth either. Garp pouts at that, which is weird and hilarious for an old man like him to do that before he grins at me. Well, if you see him, tell me. He tells me. I just give him a mock salute and try my best to hide my amusement. I'm not great at hiding things and deceiving people, so I guess Garp knows that I was deceiving him as he narrows his eyes at the counter and laughs loudly. As expected from the Marine's Vice Admiral. Too bad, I have meat. He exclaims out and I just snort at that as I can hear Luffy rustling around from behind the counter. Yay meat. Luffy exclaims out as he jumps on the counter, while I'm just losing my composure and just starts to laugh because of Luffy's dumbness. Eventually Luffy backs up, realizing he has been tricked, and Garp laughs again. Luffy, I found you. Considering the chaotic nature of the family reunion, I immediately hop off the stool and about to leave, but my wish is not granted because Luffy jumps off and tackles me down. Now he's sitting on my back while I'm sprawling on the floor face down. Luffy, what are you doing? I say as I try to get up and throw Luffy off my body, turning around to face him unhappily. He falls backwards and quickly hugs me before hiding behind me. I widen my eyes at the realization. No, let me go. Handle this yourself. I exclaim out as I try to peel him off of me, to no avail. Eventually Makino is finally back and I look at her in annoyance because of Luffy. Her eyes widen when she sees Garp and the huge hole on the wall behind him. Garp, you're back, Makino simply says, and Garp turns to grin at her. Yep. He looks so proud of himself while Makino seems unhappy with Garp's decision to break her wall. Man, poor Makino and her walls. Hey Gramps, why did you break the wall like that? I ask as I'm still trying to peel Luffy off of me, but he clings to me even tighter and I just give up eventually. Because it looks cooler. Garp answers with a huge grin and I stare at him blankly. Of course it looks cooler to him. Eventually, Makino breaks the silence. Do you need something? Makino asks with a polite tone, but I can see it in her eyes that she's not happy about the messes Garp brings to her property as Garp grins at her. Yeah, I'm taking my grandson with me. Garp says. Luffy freezes up behind me and I do too. I know Luffy will be taken by Garp, but I don't want him to leave me behind. Not this time. There are no other kids around here, Makino will be busy at the bar, and I will be all by myself. I don't want that. I shake my head vigorously while Makino just nods and Garp walks out to the broken wall. Let's go Luffy. He thunders out. No, I don't want to be left behind again. No, don't take Luffy. I don't want to be left behind. I yell at him while spreading my arms and covering Luffy behind me. Garp looks at me, surprised at that, and I just glare at him with a snarl. Yeah, I'm not leaving Aris behind. Luffy adds and I relax a bit, but Garp also won't let go of Luffy. He's big and strong, and I'm just a snotty brat to him. Kicking him in the shin won't affect him and his decision. Garp laughs again and it annoys me a bit, but then Garp says, fine. And grabs Luffy from behind me before walking out from the actual door this time. My eyes widen at realization. No, this is worse than fighting with my classmates. At least someone was around. I quickly ran after them, ignoring Makino's call. Garp notices me running after them. Kid, go away. I ignore him and continue following him while Luffy is shouting and struggling from Garp's arm to no avail. It's tiring as heck because we go up some hills and into the deep forest. Great, it will be bad if I get lost here. Better keep an eye on Garp and not be a Zoro for once. Eventually, Garp lets Luffy down when he figures he won't run away. He can't get rid of me either. He tells me to leave but I follow. He walks faster and I do too. He even tries to kick me away but I quickly dodge it and quickly follow them again. He looks surprised that I'm able to dodge it, but quickly shrugs it off with a booming laugh and says, "You've got a good spirit, brat." I twitch in annoyance at the brat part, but I stay silent. That kick almost got me, but thankfully I managed to dodge it for some reason. It could stumble back if it got me. You'll be a good Marine, Luffy. Garp says as we walk to wherever our destination is, and Luffy glares at him. I'm gonna be a pirate. Garp turns to glare at him before giving him a punch on the head. I wince slightly when he did that and giving Luffy a huge bump on his head. Quite a tough love Garp is giving Luffy, huh? Definitely can relate to that. Then Garp turned to me, what about ya? He asks and I blink. Well, Marines can kiss my ass with their just bullshit attitudes, but I'll be following Luffy. Making sure he didn't accidentally kill himself. He can be a Marine or a pirate, I don't care. As long as I follow him. I reply with a huff. I'm serious. Marine can seriously kiss my ass, but I'll be with Luffy until I reach my goal, being here, to save Ace from his death. Garp just gives me a thoughtful look before looking back straight. Huh, so he gives no crap about me, just crap talking Marine. Good. The last thing I want is joining the government army bullcrap. Eventually, we finally reached the place Garp was leading us. I know this place. It's Dayton family's shack. I never thought that meeting Ace would be this fast, but whatever. Garp is knocking on the door while Luffy and I are waiting right behind him. I hold his hand, in case he's going to run away, which is impossible. Then Luffy is being held in the air by Garp by the back of his shirt and I let go of his hand just in time. I look up to see everyone. Man, being a kid sucks. Everyone and everything is so huge in my eyes it hurts both my neck and head. I see Dayton, Dagra and Magra are at the door, looking at us with shocked expressions while Garp breaks the silence. Look after him too, Garp says and Dayton looks too shocked to protest as Garp turns to Luffy. Hey Luffy, say hi to them. Yo. Luffy greets as he waves a hand while I'm just amused at his antics as Garp turns to look at me. What's your name, kid? Garp asks. Name's Ryu and A. Aris. I answer and I can see Garp's eye twitch a bit, but he quickly turns to the bandits again. And this kid too. Garp continues as he pushes me forward. I almost stumbled forward because of the push. Plus it's quite a strong push. Sup. I greet them as I give them a mock salute. Dagra and Magra are looking at Luffy and me with astonished looks. Who are these kids? They ask. My grandchildren. Garp easily replies. I twitch at that and turn to give him a disbelief look. What the heck, I just met him just a few moments ago and he already decided to make me his granddaughter. Somehow, I'm not even surprised anymore. As expected from the D family. Eventually the mountain bandits yell, what, and I cover my ears. Even though Luffy always yells around me, I'm still not used to loud voices. Hell, I always hate loud sounds, except for thunder. I sigh at that as I hold onto my locket and fiddle with it before fully realizing what Garp just said. I never agreed on that. You're not my grandpa, I exclaim out in protest to Garp. But he just laughs. Well, I decided on that already. I slap my face and just sigh in defeat at that revelation. Another two of them, Garp's grandkids. Dayton shouted at us. I just scratch my cheek and look at them. How did they think of me being related to Garp? Honestly, I don't understand. Especially when Garp left his grandchildren, including me, I guess to mountain bandits and expect us to join the marine. I'll never understand Garp and his surprises. Gramps, why did you leave your grandkids, including me, to the mountain bandits? I ask him, so you can become stronger. He replies and just laughs, while I just stare at him blankly. Of course, why did I ask him anyway? Then he drops Luffy down and we start looking around ourselves. Dayton, Dagra, and Magra get to their knees and say, we can't. In which Garp replies, alright then, here's your choice. Do you want to spend your life in prison or raise them? There are many crimes I overlooked. That's blackmailing, crappy shack. Luffy comments while I sigh and just leave him be as he continues on walking around. Eventually he stops and puts a hand to his face. What is this? Spit. Gross. Luffy grimace and I approach him to look at it. Yep, there's that spit, alright. Really nasty. I take out a handkerchief and wipe it off while I turn to look at the main suspect, who's sitting on something big with a pipe pole in his hand, just giving us deathly stares. Hell, that's pretty scary. So you're Ace, huh? I start as I return his stare. He's scary alright, but he's just a lonely kid inside. He looks surprised that I know his name and asks, how do you know my name, brat? I just huff and point my thumb behind to Garp, who's still having a conversation with the bandits before calling both Luffy and I. Luffy, Aris, this is Ace. He's 3 years older than Luffy. You both are going to live here starting from today. Garp explains. Luffy is growling at Ace while I just roll my eyes and turn my face to the side with a huff. And then for some reason, Garp punched both of us in the head. I wince and groan in pain while holding my head. Damn it, that hurt. That's all from me. I'll stop by from time to time. Garp says before he starts to walk away. What about child support? Dayton and the others ask. Put it in my bill. Garp replies nonchalantly. And just like that, he left us with the bandits with zero child support. I just let out a huge sigh at that. Gramps, you're such an asshole. I can't believe you just left us here in the hands of bandits and then expecting us to be Marines. I comment out when he's finally far off, massaging the bridge of my nose in annoyance. Ace eventually jumps down and glares at both Luffy and I. I glare back at him and he just clicks his tongue while walking past us to enter the crappy shack. Well, I feel very welcomed here indeed. Thanks a lot, Gramps. Despite that, I'm pretty nervous to set my mission on course. What if I failed? Or what if I succeeded? And then what? Just continue on living in this world until Luffy reaches his one goal to be the Pirate King. But after that, what else? I groan and massage my temple. Gosh, thinking about it all is hurting my head and tiring me down. Hey, Aris, you okay? Luffy asks in concern and I turn to look at him before giving him a smile. Yeah, I'm fine. I think I just need to rest my brain and eyes. I reply and Luffy seems relieved by that. Well, I guess I'll just deal with all of those later in the future. Right now, I'll just deal with our new lives here, living in the middle of nowhere and with mountain bandits after our useless Gramps literally threw us out. I just hope I can prevent Ace's death later in the future. Until then, I'll just deal with the present time. I hope Oda doesn't mind my intentions. Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is The Chronicle by Thief of Stealth. Chapter 6 Updated. Eventually, we enter the crappy shack. I enter first because I'm not letting Luffy enter first and get himself killed in a house full of bandits. But as I enter, someone grabs me by the neck and points a knife to my face, while Luffy is freaking out by that. The one who grabbed me is a big guy, and he looks like he can snap my neck in half like a twig. What the hell are you doing? Let Aris go, you ugly bastard. Luffy exclaims out and tries to kick the guy, who glares at him for daring to do so and is about to turn his attention to him before Dayton walks in and glares at the guy. Put her down and leave them alone, she said, seeming annoyed by it. Why should we? Another bandit guy, who approaches us closer, asks. Fuck, this damned bandit is choking me. They're Garp's grandkids. All of the bandits in the room gasp out loud and the one that got me quickly lets his grip go before he backs away, gives us a look of fear like we're a damn plague. I cough a bit because I just got put into a chokehold and it is not a good time. Luffy quickly gets me up to my feet and starts fussing over me in pure concern, but I just pat him on the head and tell him that I'm okay. Still, I can't believe that Garp just decided to make me his grandkid in just barely a day of me meeting him, considering he doesn't seem like the guy to pick strays off the roads to be his pet. Wait, now that I think about it, that doesn't sound too far-fetched because Ace is a stray. Luffy isn't that specified but he's technically one, and I'm also a stray kid with unknown origin to these people. And then he threw us off to some strangers to take care of us. Wow, Garp is such a bad parent. No wonder Dragon wanted to fuck with the government that Garp worked at. Dayton tells us to sit on the wooden floor and we plop down as she gives us a bowl of white rice, a glass of plain water, and that's all, while a meter from us there was a mountain of cooked meat with the bandits plus Ace enjoying the feast. I'll be honest, a bowl of white rice is not appealing to consume at all. I want meat too. Luffy complains after he inhaled the rice in 2 seconds, why did he get to eat the meat? He asks as he points at Ace, who just silently glares at us. Shut up, he gets the meat because he caught it. Go in the forest and catch your own, then you'll get some meat. Dayton yells at him while I wince at her loud yelling. Sheesh, everyone sure loves to scream in this universe. Oi, old lady Dayton, can you at least give us condiments for us to eat this white shit? I ask and Dayton seems annoyed that I called her old lady, but overall didn't comment on it. No, she replies, not even salt. No, stingy old lady. I spat out and eat the rice, ignoring Dayton's even more annoyed expression as she's so ready to strangle me, but is stopped by her men. Calm down Dayton-san, she's Garp's grandkid, you need to think better before you do it. One of the bandits that stop her, which vaguely looks like a rooster, tries to reason with her. She eventually relents, but still glares at me. So listen up, Luffy. This shitty shack is filled with mountain bandits. Considering we live here now, we need to do chores and hunt our food, or we won't be able to eat. I explain to Luffy, who listens to me and gives me a cringed expression before turning to Dayton and the other bandits that are always around her somehow. I hate mountain bandits and sure, mister, Luffy replies to Dayton's explanation from before, and I just snort loudly as I laugh hard silently. I'm a woman. Dayton yells at him. Really? Yes. Nyehehey, okay Luffy, that's enough. It's impolite to say that to a lady. I tell him as I pat his head and wipe off the tears from the corners of my eyes. Out of the corner of my eyes, Ace suddenly stands up and walks out. Luffy is looking at him with a thoughtful expression and I squint my eyes at him. That can't be good. The thoughtful expression on Luffy is never good. Hey, Ace, where are you going? Luffy calls out but was ignored by Ace, which makes him stand up and starts to run after Ace before I can stop him. I slap my forehead to stop the urge to punch him in the head as I run after Luffy. I hear Dayton scream at us with a curse or two before I'm out of ear range, and I'm out of breath as I finally catch up to Luffy. Hey, Ace, I don't care if you spit at me. Let's be friends, Luffy exclaims out, with his usual angelic smile. Ace is about a few meters away from us and definitely on a higher ground level than us. He has that emotionless look on his face which gives me bad vibes and I don't trust it. I grab Luffy's arm as I growl at Ace, who gives me the same look. Suddenly, he turns to the nearest tree and starts to kick it repeatedly, and the realization slowly floods over me as I start to remember this certain scene. He's going to kick that tree off and it will roll at us. And as if right on cue, the tree breaks off and comes rolling at us. Fucking hell, is this bastard serious? I try to quickly pull Luffy away from the incoming tree to the sideline, but I was a second too late that the tree cleanly rolled on Luffy. Yu-Gi-Oh! Luffy, are you okay? I exclaim out as I quickly help Luffy back to his feet and start to fuss over him. Fortunately, he's already his rubber self, so no bad injuries on him other than scratches and dirt all over his body. Luffy, being his bouncy self, just grin at me as he brushes off his hat before putting it on my head. I push the hat up as I look at him wide-eyed. You can dodge pretty cool, so it won't get damaged, he said. I feel blood starts to rush to my face, feeling a bit sheepish as his action is not something I get very often back home. It's a bit embarrassing, but I nod at him. I'll protect it, Luffy, I tell him, who just giggles in return. Luffy then starts to run in the direction where Ace went again, and I just sigh as I run after him. Do we have to go after him? I know this sounds stupid, but bad things will happen later. I warn him. Yeah, Riss, we should, Luffy replies. He barely spares me a glance while I can only sigh and keep on following him. I can't leave him be when bad things are about to happen to him, after all. We catch up to Ace, who is standing on the other side of a bridge before cutting the rope as we're crossing it. Fuck. I quickly grab Luffy and make him cling onto me on my back as I hold onto his hands tight to my head. We fall into the water stream below as I try to keep us afloat despite my hands being quite occupied already, but this feeble body of mine is unable to fight the strong water current and eventually falls down the raging waterfall. It's a small one, thankfully, but the waterfall is still a waterfall and it hurts when you land onto the water below, especially when there are river rocks as we land. I almost gasp in water in pain when I hit the rocks, but I still try to swim to the land as I pop out from the water. When we finally reach the land, I immediately flop on the rocky land like a dying fish while Luffy got off of me and starts fussing over me as I start to puke the excess water in my stomach. Gross. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm sorry that I'm useless in the water. Luffy says worry and regret are shown on his baby's face. I'm okay. Don't worry about me, I tell him, coughing and gasping for air. I'm a good swimmer, but even I can't fight against the water stream like a school of salmons. I look at Luffy, who other than scratches from before, he looks perfectly fine to me. I check on his hat and it's perfectly okay, just wet. I let out a sigh as I pat my chest before dreadful realization washes over me. My locket, I exclaim out as I pull on my collar to check on the pendant that was supposed to be dangling on my chest, but nope. Nada. The golden heart-shaped locket is nowhere. Only my flat chest exists. Luffy. Locket. Gone. I frantically tell him as I'm about to jump back into the water, but Luffy quickly grabs me and before I can protest, he reaches to my neck, and voila, there's the locket. Don't worry. It was probably got moved around by the water that it got flipped to the back. Luffy reassures me, but his face looks blurry somehow, in which his expression turns into a panic. And before I can exactly process why, I start to bawl my eyes out. Is it the fear of death? Is it the dread of losing your treasure? Or is it the relief of not losing both your life and your treasure? I don't know. What I do know is how Luffy is trying his best to cheer me up to no avail before settling on just holding onto my hand and stroking my wet hair, while I just cry out fat tears and sobbing loudly like a child. Ah, that's right, I'm a child now. I'm not the teenager kid back home anymore. I'm a child that barely knows anything about this world, despite knowing it through the windows of papers, that still needs proper guidance from a guardian from this world. No matter how I'm trying to be mature and a know-it-all, I'm not. And I might have just realized it, after all these years. Eventually, my tears and sobbing subside, leaving only the hiccuping behind, and the dark and silent night start to dawn on us both. Are you okay, Aris? Luffy asks. I just nod silently as I wipe away the tears before sneezing. I just realized that we're standing by the forest and still drenched from head to toe, and the cold is starting to get me. I'm okay. Sorry, you have to see that. I reply, a little embarrassed while Luffy just laughs. I didn't know you're a crybaby, Aris. He says and I just pout in return. I'm not. I huff in finality before looking at Luffy again, we still going after Ace. I ask and he nods. It's already late and it's dark. We can't find him like this. Why don't we stop for the night and continue the search tomorrow morning? MK. And just like that, we lean on a nearby tree and try to get comfy. Luffy barely spares a second to immediately off to the dreamland, while I just watch the sky, the stars, and the moon. The sky in this world is beautiful and full of stars at night. Unlike my world, stars are already difficult to see because of air pollution. I wish my world's sky can be as beautiful as this. Slowly, I reach to my locket and close my eyes, leaning on Luffy and curling up to him as I start to doze off. Tomorrow, we're going to work hard again. Chapter 7 updated. Hey, she still hasn't gotten any group. Let her be. It's her fault. What? Let you in our group. But we've filled up already. You're so annoying. I wake up in a jolt, but immediately wince when the bright sun is shining over my eyes. I shield my eyes from the sunlight as I push myself up and look back to see Luffy is still fast asleep while trying to remember what the dream was about. Or was it a nightmare from the past? I don't remember anymore, but I do remember that we're still lost and my stomach is grumbling, and I bet Luffy's too. Hey Luffy, wake up. We need to find our way back and get some food. I say as I shake Luffy up, who's immediately awake at the mention of food. Food. Sorry to disappoint you Luffy, but there's no food. He immediately deflates from that and I just chuckle at how easy to read Luffy is, but we can try to find food as we're off to find either our way back or to find Ace. And hopefully didn't die on the way too. Okay. Luffy replies as he literally bounces off the rocky ground to his feet and quickly runs off for a moment before stopping to look at me. Sheesh, someone is full of energy this morning. I push myself up to my feet, but gosh my body is dying and sore. I try again and I groan out for the soreness of my mistake is giving me. I'm never sleeping on the rocky ground ever again, for my body's health and safety. Come on Aris, hurry up already, I'm hungry. Luffy yells out while I just sigh as I approach him. Right, let's just go and find food as we follow that dickhead Ace again, I reply with an annoyed huff. Shishi. Aris, you badmouth is at it again. Luffy points out with a laugh as he walks on ahead. Makino's not around to scold me, so I can say whatever I want, I reply with a devilish grin. Somewhere, in a certain barmaid sneezes. Now, let's just find our way to find our way, I add as Luffy just calls out for Ace's name. And then we proceed to get lost for a whole week in the forest. I have never been a fan of camping, and this is extreme camping, especially for literal children like me and Luffy. In our first hour, after we woke up, we got chased by a crocodile. And not your normal-sized crocodile too. That shit was huge, and it was chasing our scrawny ass even after we climbed a fucking tree. And not only that, but we were also just fucking starving that we just started to eat whatever forages Luffy found in the forest and just pray that it's not poisonous as we ate it raw. And during our journey, Luffy was still calling out for Ace's name while I was just ready to rip his and Garp's heads off when we found him and when Gramps is back. Curse Luffy's stubbornness to find Ace. And not only crocodile that chased us, but a fucking pack of wolves as well. They're just drooling over us as we're screaming our heads off while we're on the tree. And when we thought they were over it, they popped out and I just grabbed Luffy and fucking sprinted. One of the wolves got me on my calf and I was just too preoccupied to run to notice it. Fucking wolves. Then again, we also kinda stole their dinner, so I guess that's that. We're red meat, just absolutely delirious and wheezing by the end of it, and dirty with scratches, blood, dirt, etc. When we finally see that crappy shack of Dayton's, I never feel so happy to see that crappy, shitty shack in my whole life as I just crashed to the floor when we opened the front door. My nose hurts from that, but my whole body is killing me, so I felt nothing anymore. I hear heavy footsteps and very familiar voice booms above me. Where the hell have you two been? Dayton yells at us. In the forest, I reply with my face still planted on the floor that my voice is muffled, but it's good enough for Dayton and Luffy to hear. It's been like a week. And where in the forest? We were chased by wolves, I tell her as I try my best to look up while my body is still horizontally equal to the floor. Yeah, and don't forget the croc. Luffy adds with a serious nod. I can see Dayton is shocked and gapes at us in silence, probably amazed at how we can survive in the forest by ourselves. I eventually put my head back down because it's tiring and I kinda drift off a bit, but Luffy won't let me and pulls me up back to my feet. Unfortunately for him and me, my calf is bleeding right now, so I just limp inside the shack, where Dogra, if I'm not mistaken, just gapes at our appearances. Aside from my bleeding calf, both of us are just looking absolute dogshit. Not only we're dirty, but we also smell, hair sticking out everywhere with sticks and leaves also sticking in our hair, clothes ripped here and there, and scratches all over our bodies. He grabs a first aid kit and I immediately grab it from him to get the band-aids for Luffy first, who just got cuts and scratches and nothing big. After I took care of him, I take care of mine by dousing the wound with alcohol and just screeching out loud about how painful the sting is. Luffy and the others were horrified when I do that. I slam my clenched fists on the floor and grit my teeth together because of the pain, but I bear on it as I gauze my wound and just lay on the floor. Hey, are you okay now, Maris? Luffy asks with a traumatized look on his face. Kinda okay. Am tired now, I reply with my eyes closed. I try not to doze off though because I decided to punch Ace's freckled face before I sleep. I can hear rustlings next to me and I open one eye to see Luffy laying down next to me. Don't sleep in front of the front door, you brats. I hear Dayton says, but we both ignore her. Hey Aris, I hum in reply, do you ever feel alone? Wow, Luffy just asked me a pretty deep one. But do I ever feel alone? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I don't have that many friends in the first place, and not even my own family can fill up that hole. I always feel alone even when there are so many people around me, or even when I'm with my family, I always feel like I'm being left out by myself. I only have one friend that I used to be close to, but after we both went to different schools, we never really get in contact again. My whole life, I have always been lonely. My friends, who were always came and went, never to return and taking along a piece of me, leaving me with this gaping hole in my chest. I'm scared. I'm scared of being left alone. I don't want to be left alone, but no one can and will accompany me. They all left me with this big gaping hole in my chest, just desperate to be filled up. But I think I'll be fine now, though. I have Luffy, Makino, and the others. I just hope that I won't be left alone again. Sure, sometimes I miss my life back home, but maybe it's just not the right place for me to find those pieces for this hole in my chest. And maybe this time, I can find it myself, instead of waiting and waiting for those pieces to come for me. I let out a breathy laugh from my nose before turning to look at Luffy, who's unusually serious about his question to me. Nyehehey, well of course I feel alone. I don't have my biological family here, and I don't have many friends, but I have you, Makino, and the others to make me feel less alone. I answer with a smile. Now let me ask you back, do you ever feel alone? Yeah, I always feel alone before you came, so I'm glad that you came into my life. Shishishi. Luffy replies with his trademark huge grin of his. I just smile and laugh in return, because that's exactly how I feel when I suddenly got thrown into this universe. You're welcome, Lu-chan. We both grin at each other and I sit back up, looking around to find Ace. I'm serious, I'm gonna punch him first before I fall asleep, and now I'm extremely pissed. When I finally found him, just sitting on a barrel with his arms crossed across his chest and eyes closed, I stand up and dust myself off before limping my way to him. I clench my fist so hard when an angry vein pops on my forehead as I keep my eyes on him with a hard glare, and somehow the temperature in the room gets lower and colder. Ace seems to realize it and opens his eyes, watching me close while it's pissing me off even more before I jump at him with a yell. Of course, he dodges easily and is about to kick my face, but I jump at him and tackle him down with a deep growl before landing my clenched fist on his freckled face. He struggles back and is pissed off, but I don't care. If he wants to fight, then let's fight. Did that fucking hurt? Well, that's nothing compared to whatever you did to us both for the past week, you bastard. You almost killed us twice. Twice. I yell to his face furiously as I grab on his shirt to pull his face closer to mine. This is just a little warning for you for hurting Luffy. I don't care if you're older than us both, or stronger than both of us combined, but show us some consideration, will you? I finish with the sweetest smile I can give, but apparently, the aura and the temperature around me are the opposite of what's shown. I let him go as I stand over him and let my facade off, looking down at him with a dead expression. Either it's from me or Ace, I don't give a fuck. Everyone looks so shocked that their jaws are basically on the ground, including Luffy, who is also trembling in fear and looks like he's about to collapse. Ace stands up and I step off from him as he brushes off some blood that came out from his nose, giving me a death glaring and he seems ready to just devour me in a second. I just return the glare with a deep frown and a growl, standing my ground against his bullshit. I'm gonna kill you, Ace yells as he jumps at me and kicks me in the chest to the floor. I let out an animalistic scream as I jump back at him, not minding the pain in my chest he gave me as I grab him by his hair and start yanking on it before landing a punch to his face again. He pushes me down to the floor that he's above me and returns the punch, while I just scratch his arms and yank on his shirt to swap the position. He tries to grab me on my face, but I immediately bite his hand hard and do not let it go as he's scratching me using his other hand. Pretty sure our fight can escalated further if Dayton's family members didn't pull us away from each other, while me and Ace are just screaming each other names as we were pulled away from the other. Let me go, I'm gonna kill that brat. Oh yeah, then do it, you bastard. I'm going to hunt you down if you hurt Luffy again. Shut up, both of you. Go cool down somewhere and don't come back until you're done. And just like that, Dayton kicks me out outside while Ace got kicked out somewhere. I just grumble off as I limp my way to Pochi's doghouse. The dog himself doesn't seem to care and just watching me as I lean on the small house and look up at the sky. Fuck, my body is hurt all over and even more so after fighting off Ace. His strength is monstrous and I'm surprised that I can fend his strength equally and he did not kill me instantly. Maybe because this world's weird biology or whatever it was that makes me a little stronger than back home. Heck, I can even immediately able to understand, read, and speak the world language of this world. It doesn't sound like Japanese or whatever language I ever heard of before, but I guess it's like how English is the international language back on Earth. Fuck, my body is sore and bleeding all over, I need a proper bath. I complain as I plop down onto the grassy ground and face Pochi. I pet the dog and giggle when he licks on my hand and face. Gosh, you dogs are so hecking cute. I squeal out as I hug and pet the white dog that just barks and wags his tail happily. I guess I'm just that tired that I immediately just drift off to sleep, not minding that I will regret my decision over sleeping on the ground again. Sleep now, regret it later. XXX. Hey Ace, she's asleep already. Are you gonna get your revenge on her? Dogra asks Ace, who is right beside him and watching the brat named Laris that is fast asleep while hugging Pochi from afar. Thanks to the fight with the brat, he's filled with bandages and band-aids. He would be amazed if he's not pissed that a small girl like her got guts enough to fight him and even managed to fight him equally. Not even that other brat Luffy dares to do it, other than the fact that he's somehow obsessed by trying to be friends with him. Eventually, Ace approaches the sleeping girl and stares down at her for a moment, before he grabs a blanket from the clothesline nearby and covers her with the blanket. He crouches down and pats her on the head before doing the same to Pochi. I'm gonna get my revenge, but not today. So be prepared, Ace says softly before he stands back up and walks back inside in silence, ignoring Dogra that gapes at his sudden OOC moment toward the sleeping girl. Dogra doesn't know if he should be amazed, shocked, or horrified to encounter the rare sight. Chapter 8 Updated. I wake up in a jolt when there's a loud bang right next to my ear. I shut open my eyes and sit up. I look around and see Luffy is also waking up, but he falls asleep again. I turn my head and my nose bump into something cold. I rub my nose as I blearily see a pipe staff and slowly process the sight. Pipe staff. I look up and see Ace is looking at me with a blank look. We stare at each other for a moment before I plop back on the floor and go back to sleep, ignoring Ace completely. Ace is not happy about it and hit my head with his staff. I groan and sit back up, rubbing at the bump in my head as I glare at him. The fuck man, that hurt you stupid 10-year-old kid. I shout at him, who just getting angrier. Shut up you brat, wake up now or I hit you again. Ace shouts back. I just scowl unhappily in silence and hit Luffy on his rubbery head to wake him up. Luffy, wake up, we need to do stupid chores. I shout. Luffy groans and sits up, rubbing at the bump I gave him. Do we have to? He asks sleepily. I mean, I'm fine if you don't wanna eat, but I'm not going to join you, I reply as I stand up, groaning as the soreness from the wounds and bruises I got from getting lost in the woods and from fighting Ace last night. Apparently, someone moved me back inside and tended to my wounds last night. Whoever did it, they have my gratitude. Even so, I'd love to have a bath at this moment because I smell and feel like shit, but Luffy is far quicker than my morning brain as he grabs me and runs outside the house and into the woods, ignoring Dayton's yelling while Luffy calls for Ace. Hey, you brats, come back here and do chores. That's what she said before we're out of range. Luffy just laughs while I just sigh at his antics. We're after Ace again. Yep, shishishi. I try my best to keep up with Luffy, but alas, my wound on my calf actually slowed my movements and we eventually lost Ace, again. We also eventually got lost in the end that we just returned with empty hands. I'm just relieved that I finally get to take a good warm soak in the bath. Fuck, I need this so bad. This feels so fucking good. I let out a pleased sigh and look at Luffy, who is in the same barrel-like bathtub as me, back to back. I close my eyes and submerge, thinking about the next many days that will be spent on us both running after Ace all over again. I rise back up and turn to look at the back of Luffy's head. I hug him from behind and grab his cheeks before pulling them out in annoyance. Iris, what are you doing? It hurts. Luffy complains. Shut up. I got a feeling that tomorrow we're gonna chase Ace again and we're gonna get new injuries again. And I'm really mad now because today we almost got eaten by crocodiles, again. After the bath, Dogra fixes my injuries and I'm off to get dressed in a bluish-green tank top and grayish-blue shorts. Apparently Garp literally just dropped us off in this shack with only our clothes on our back, so we literally just wear Ace's old clothes. Since I got thrown into this world, I never really wear any footwear. I prefer it compared to wearing shoes or sandals, but for safety, I grab myself a pair of sandals at the corner of the room and put them on. I tie my hair up high using the cloth I found and turn to look at Luffy. We're not chasing Ace again today. Only once a day until our injuries are healed up. Not complaining because we need to forage for our lunch, then do our chores. I tell him. Luffy, being the child that he is, just purses his lips and starts to complain as I pull him along into the forest by the back of his collar to look for mushrooms or something, while the bandits are all just watching us with a disbelief look. Every day, every week, and for months, we kept chasing after Ace and almost died repeatedly. Thankfully, our old injuries are healed up and new ones aren't that bad for us to be a hindrance, but we're still been left behind. Repeatedly, I bang my head on a tree a few times. So hard that some leaves flutter down around me before I stop and let out a heavy sigh, glaring at nothing in particular. I'm really mad for some reason, and I really want to punch something. It's frustrating that I'm just a powerless kid, trying to keep Luffy's ass from being bitten by death over and over again. From what I observed, everyone had some kind of super strength in this world. Their strength is different from the other, but it's still beyond what is considered normal back on Earth. And from that, I slowly realized that it also affects me in a way, but it's still not enough. Hey Aris, you got huge eye bags there, Luffy comments, pointing at under his eyes to state the obvious. I just glare and growl at him, which shuts him up as he pales. Walking off to the shack's wall, I clench my fists before pulling one back and start punching. Everyone gasps as I keep on punching the poor wall until I feel something warm trickling out from my knuckles that I give one last strike and stop. I see that I leave a cracked wall behind, almost a hole, with my blood splashing over it. I fall on my butt and sprawl on the ground, looking at my bleeding knuckles before giving it a lick, which actually makes the bandits nearby let out a disgusted sound. I lick it up until it doesn't bleed anymore that I cross my arms under my head and close my eyes. A few moments later, I hear the door open and a set of familiar footsteps. I open one of my eyes and sure enough, it's Ace, walking away to hunt with his pipe staff in hand. I just huff as I stand up and turn to Luffy, who's just looking at Ace slowly furthering away from us. Well, are we going after him or what? I ask Luffy, who turns to me and gives me a big grin before he hops on his feet and we both run off after Ace. As we run, I hear Dayton yelling, "WHO the heck put a hole in the wall." And I just snort at that. We both run for a moment before our target dashes ahead. I scowl and curse loudly as we sprint faster, but the approaching rain is hindering our quest. Great, now we're wet and I'm pissed off again. I look around and up, and sure enough Ace is at the peak of a cliff above us. I was about to call him, but I hear a loud growling nearby. I halt impaled. This is bad, I know this scene. Damn, he ran really fast. He's amazing, isn't he? Luffy says, not realizing the danger we're in. And then a loud thump that pretty much shakes the ground is heard next to us. Is that Ace? Luffy asks as he searches around for the sound's origin while I just slowly turn my head around and paled even more. It's obviously not, Luffy. Curse this child's obliviousness. At that moment, lightning strikes, revealing the beast's silhouette. A tiger, and a huge one at that. It's the most dangerous animal on Mount Kalubo. Fucking double fuck. Luffy falls to his butt, terrified. I tch head and try my best to defend Luffy behind me as I glance up to Ace. Despite all of the bullshits he gave us, he looks alarmed at what we encounter. The tiger growls while I try to return it, but who am I against a huge beast like it? I'm basically just a fly against this huge striped cat. I can't move my legs. Luffy says in fear, and I don't need to look at him to know that he looks absolutely terrified. Before we can do anything or the tiger can do anything to us, another loud growl is heard behind us. I turn to see a huge bear with a scar on his face show up behind us, facing off the huge tiger. Seeing that, I quickly grab Luffy's hand and runs off, adrenaline pumping hard that I barely can feel my injuries. We run and run until I deem it far enough from those monsters that we finally stop to start to breathe. While Luffy falls on his back to the ground, I just slump down on a nearby tree. Fucking hell, I can't believe we survived that. Eventually, the sky clears up and there's a rainbow as we both gasp in awe before we laugh our adrenaline out. After that incident, we keep chasing after Ace every day non-stop, no matter the weather. We got new bruises and wounds, but we eventually managed to get past all obstacles Ace threw our way. Sometimes Dayton's family tries to stop us from chasing after Ace and me from destroying their walls in rage even further. Months passed, and we finally arrive at the end of the forest. We grin at each other when we finally see the other side of the forest, revealing the infamous Gray Terminal. Wow, this is not the first time I see a place that's full of rubbish and junk, but it's amazing to see somehow. And also super smelly. Blah, what is this place? Luffy asks, who doesn't seem bothered by the smell. It's Gray Terminal, a place full of rubbish in Goa Kingdom in the outer side of Air, the main town inside that wall. I answer as I point at the enormous wall at the end of the Gray Terminal before us. Luffy just, ooh, Ed in return. We walk toward Gray Terminal and around, while I'm trying my best to not mind the smell one bit. This strong smell is hurting my nose and head. This is what I get for having a strong sense of smell. While I'm just walking around, Luffy is jumping around on the trash, calling out for Ace before he jumps on a stone, crushing it and bringing him along down. I just snort and sigh in amusement as I peek down at him. You okay? I ask before I climb and jump over next to him, who's just rubbing his head before standing back up. Yeah, Luffy replies with a grin. I see that there's a human skull right next to him. I walk up to it and pick it up while Luffy continues calling out for Ace. Wow, it's a real human skull. This is my first time holding one. Kinda reminds me of Brook. I just shrug and put the skull on my head as I follow Luffy as usual, who runs over a destroyed pillar and stands at its top before continuing. Eventually, some ugly bastard crashes onto us, but before he can say anything, I quickly grab Luffy and walk past him. Of course, typical Luffy, he keeps on getting himself into some mishaps, like falling into a hole. I laugh but still help him afterward. After a while, Luffy sees Ace walking back into the forest. Luffy grins and runs off, while I can just call his name and run after him. Man, thanks to Luffy and Ace, I can feel that my stamina isn't as low as my real self back in my world, and probably also because I'm a kid right now. Children just have endless stamina for some reason. As we approach a huge tree, I can hear voices. Before Luffy can shout his head off, I quickly drag him to a nearby bush and cover his mouth. Listen, you need to stay quiet. I whisper. He nods and I move my hand back. We're going to leave East Blue and go somewhere these people never dreamed of. I know this scene. I also recognize the voice, the one that belongs to my third favorite character, Sabo. Third, because Luffy is first, Ace is second, and then him. Just thinking about it is exciting. Sabo says, well, according to the last chapter I read back in my homeworld, Sabo will be alive and meet Luffy in Dressrosa arc. He was there because Ace's Mera Mera no Mi is the main prize there, so if I manage to save Ace, will the plot stay the same? Or should I try to think of another way to trigger the plot? But I'm definitely not letting Ace die though. I was so lost in thought that I almost miss Ace's reply. Now put it away. We can't let anybody see it. He says. They're talking about their treasure, right? And they're planning to buy a pirate ship. To be honest, those guys are insane. And they'll try to kill us later. A pirate ship? You guys gonna be pirates? Luffy suddenly exclaims and he's actually standing right under the tree. Since when he was there? I mentally slap my forehead and try to stop my urge to strangle Luffy. Since I don't think they saw me yet, I stayed still. I'm going to become a pirate too. Luffy adds and I just curse under my breath a couple of times before eventually revealing myself out and walking up to Luffy as the older boys are climbing down the tree at high speed. I curse again before they run at us and throw punches at us. I manage to dodge, but Luffy isn't as lucky. They try again at me, but I quickly block and try to twist their hands, but a kick to my chest hurls me right onto a tree. A wind escapes me along with a few drops of blood as I accidentally bit my tongue. I can only groan in pain as I can also feel something warm flowing down to my neck. Damn it, they're strong. Yet somehow I could dodge the first attack. I wonder. Before I know it, we both are tied to the tree. I can only stare at the 10-year-old boys in front of us, who are staring back at us indefinitely contemplating murder. Ace, I didn't know you travel this far every day. Luffy comments happily, worsening the situation. Shut your trap, Luffy. It's your fault we were found. Now shut up or I kill you myself. I yell at him and give him an animalistic growl, which instantly shuts him up. I turn back to our captors and I just growl at them too, which angers them even more. Then again, we did eavesdrop on them, and we know their treasure's location and plans. Are they Luffy and Aris? Sabo asks Ace. You told him about us. Luffy asks Ace too. Just about how annoying you are and how she follows you around like a leech. Ace replies with a scowl, plus, she's brave enough to fight me. Well yeah, obviously. I scoff, a shithead like you deserved it. I'll kick your ass again if you want. But before Ace can punch me, I continue, besides, I follow Luffy around because I don't want him to die in a dumb way. I just stare at them with a bored look, while Ace seems ready to just snap my neck off and Sabo's face is blank. He also told me you're an airhead and she's a weirdo, Sabo adds. I clench my teeth together in anger and sharpen my gaze on Ace, while Luffy just laughs. I swear I'm going to punch these guys later. I was dissing you, didn't you get that? At least the weirdo has some common sense. Sabo comments with a slightly annoyed look, while I just growl at him loudly, which makes him change his mind. Never mind, the weirdo is crazy. He quickly adds. I just snort and scowl, trying to wriggle out from the ropes, but to no avail. The ropes are tight enough to trap a worm. They're finally here, even though I didn't use any conventional roads. Ace answers. Yeah no shit, Sherlock. I tripped over some stupid things, I say sarcastically, turning to address Luffy. Thanks to you, I tell him in sarcasm, but he just laughs and replies, no problem. Before turning back to Sabo. Hey, are you Ace's friend? Be my friend, buddy. Luffy says cheerfully. Shut up. Don't call me buddy. Don't yell at him. Shut up, we aren't talking to you. And why should I care, Freckles? What did you say, weirdo? We both just glare and growl at each other that even imaginative sparks can be seen between us. Luffy doesn't really care, obviously, while Sabo is just keeping watch. So, what's your name? Saw, I don't have to tell you. Oh please, I know your name, Blondie. So shut up. I snap without interrupting my glaring contest with Ace. Sabo seems surprised at that. Wah, how? Did you tell her, Ace? Sabo asks and Ace breaks our eye contact to look at Sabo. Fuck yeah, I won the glaring contest. Suck it, Ace. I'm keeping a tally on this. No, not a word. Ace replies, who seems as disturbed as Sabo. I let out a yawn when the wind softly blows over us. I'm starting to get tired all of a sudden. Either it's the fatigue, the blood loss, or both. Either way, taking a nice nap here sounds nice, so I doze off a bit before Luffy screams bloody murder, which snaps me immediately to wakefulness that I hit the back of my head to the tree. I loudly groan in pain from both the back of my head and my ear as Luffy keeps on screaming not to kill him while the older boys are arguing about who will kill us and not knowing how to murder. Don't throw me into the water. Luffy yell. Eyes wide, I turn and headbutt Luffy's head for that. You shouldn't have told them, idiot. I yell furiously. Okay, let's head to the river. Why did he even say that? Because he's an idiot, that's why. How do we kill her? Sabo asks, turning to me. Wah, damn brats. If you kill me, I'm gonna haunt you guys. I scream back and just give them animalistic growls, while Luffy is still screaming that it could make my ears bleed. Through the noises, a conversation catches my interest that I pause my growling and turn toward the source of the voices, which is noticed by the older boys. Yeah, he stole it. I think his name is Ace or something. From the panicked looks the older boys are exchanging, I conclude those are Blue Jam's men. Sabo quickly unties us and they dove into a nearby bush. I reach for Luffy when a hand grabs the back of my shirt and Luffy's, lifting us into the air and into the same eye level as the perpetrator, aka Porchamy. Ace, help. Luffy yells as he struggles and I too try to wriggle out from his grip, but it just tightens. Did you just say, Ace? Porchamy asks. He's our friend. Luffy answers, though he was about to kill us. He adds. Ace stole from us and ran away. Ugly bastard says. No shit, Sherlock. Do you know where our money is? Luffy is silent while I just glare at Porchamy. Eventually, Luffy just averts his eyes and did his lying face and replies that he had no idea, which everyone immediately knows how bad of a liar he is that they just give him disbelief looks. And then Porchamy turns to me and asks the same question. I have no idea what you're talking about, Fugly, I answer with a smirk. This infuriates them, but they calm down and start chuckling evilly. Fuck this, we're gonna get fucked. Either literally or figuratively, I'm still not into it. Well, don't worry, I'll help you remember. Fugly says as he takes us along somewhere. I growl in annoyance. Damn it, Ace, why did you steal from them? Are you stupid or something? Fucking hell. Damn it, let us go, stupid. Luffy shouts while I struggle to wriggle from the grip again. Let us go, you ugly bastard. I roar out, but they just laugh and keep on walking. Damn it, Ace, after this is over, I'm seriously gonna kick his ass again. Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is The Chronicle by ThiefofStealth. Chapter 9 Updated. Eventually we arrive inside a lopsided wooden hut in Gray Terminal. Porchemy throws me at one of the guys to tie Luffy on a post, but I quickly bare my fangs out and bite down on the guy's arm. He let out a pain yell and hit me on the head before trying to pull me off from him, but I just growl at him and bite harder. Let go, you bitch. He shouts as he keeps on pulling on my hair to get me off of him, whom he eventually succeeds, and I just hiss at them as I land on the ground. Let Luffy go, you fuckers. I yell angrily, but Porchemy and the other guys barely pay my threat any mind as Porchemy just looks more annoyed. What the fuck are you doing? Hurry up and tie her up too. Porchemy growls, side-eyeing the guy the first just bit. Are you letting a little bitch like her make fun of you? Pathetic. He spats before grabbing me by the hair and slams my head against the post. I grunt out in pain as I can barely acknowledge Luffy's yelling, thanks to the ringing in my ears and the headache I got from before it worsened. Fuck, that hurts. I can't even see properly without seeing dark spots here and there, along with the shrill ringing in my ears making me wince even more. Heck, I barely even realized that I got tied up on the opposite side of Luffy on the post. I try my best to loosen the ropes to no avail as it's as sturdy as our last restraints, but then I hear a loud slam behind me, followed by Luffy's exclamation that it didn't work because he ate Gomu Gomu no Mi. Luffy, you need to stop babbling out your skills, you dumbass. I groan out at him in annoyance, not having the will to yell at him. Give me a pair of gloves. I hear Porchemy say. One of the subordinates comply and run off. Fuck, it's the gloves with spikes. Those gotta hurt us both, alright. They untie and put us back to back again, only this time we're hanging in the air. I want my money and you both know where it is. So I need you to tell us. The bastard says. Never. Luffy yells out. I wince when Porchemy hits Luffy so hard that we swing around with a loud smack, which results in Luffy wailing out in pain and the bastard hitting him again. Hey, you fucker. Stop it. I yell out and the rope is pulled to face the bastard. You all go look for Ace and Sabo. We don't have time to stand around. He yells and his subordinates run off before turning back to me. Are you going to tell me? He asks, as if the answer is not obvious. Fuck you. I smirk mockingly. He pulls his fist back and I close my eyes to brace for the impact. It slams on the left side of my face and I try to hold back my tears and scream as he hits the same spot again. I keep quiet as something warm starts to flow down my face. It feels like I cut myself with a pocket knife back in my home world. Not quite enough to kill, but painful enough to wince. Porchemy alternates between punching Luffy and me, so much that I lost track other than the way the orange sunlight indicates that it's been on for hours, that evening is approaching. Spit it out already. He punches me again before Luffy, but we barely have the energy to reply anymore. I can hear one of the subordinates saying something before a familiar slam is heard, but not to us. The pounding on my face stops for a moment, but it returns moments later. Answer me. He roars out, desperation is heard in his voice. I won't say it. Luffy replies. What about you? Over my dead body, ugly. He growls in anger and frustration as he goes back to punching us. Eventually, he realizes that nothing will come out from us and he throws off his gloves to grab his sword. I can hear him dragging it and I can only curse silently. Hurry up and come, Ace, Sabo. Die. But before the sword can cut us down, Ace and Sabo barge in through the wall. Stoop. I can only chuckle and cough. Finally, they came. I sigh in relief as I feel myself slowly sagging away. Blood cover my face, arms, legs, and clothes. Hey, he apparently enjoyed hitting me the most, and not just in the face too, probably because of my potty mouth. Ace comes in and knocks one of the guys with his pipe staff. Hey Ace. Luffy wails, crying. I can't really see what really happened, but I know one thing for sure, that the older boys are saving us. Ace. Sabo. Go kick his ass. I yell out as loud as I can, before the pain eventually gets me and my vision starts to blur out from blood loss. I don't know what kind of expressions they're making or what they're doing, but I'm sure they're able to hear it. And before I know it, I black out. Eventually, loud shouting woke me up from my temporary death. I groan and slowly push myself to sit up. I see Luffy and Ace are arguing over something, while Sabo is trying to separate them. I look down at my body, which is covered with bandages from head to toe. Okay, maybe not really, but fucking hell, I can't believe I survived that shit. Ah, Riss, you woke up. Luffy exclaims as he runs and sits right next to me. Are you okay? He asks in pure concern. He's so cute. Well, I survived that, so I'm pretty okay enough. I reply as I ruffle Luffy's hair. Are you okay? It must have been scary for you. Why yeah, it was scary, but at least you're still alive, so at least I won't be alone. Luffy answers and I just chuckle before turning to the older boys. Thank you for saving us, I bow in gratitude. If you hadn't come, we'd probably be dead. I look back up at them and cough a bit. For some reason, my throat feels raspy. Probably from all of the screaming I did today. Sabo just smiles and nods, while Ace just huffs and looks away. Sheesh, attitude much. Then again, he was raised by mountain bandits while Sabo was raised a noble, so that's a pretty big gap between the two. But still, Ace is such a jerk this time around. Why didn't you cough it up in the first place? Those were the kind of people who would kill without hesitation. Ace asks, eyes narrowing. Luffy didn't tell, so why should I? I reply, tilting my head in a curious manner. It's better than being dead. I just shrug in return. Because we don't have anyone else but each other, I answer, we can't go back to Fuchsia village because it's far, and we hate mountain bandits. Hell, I don't even know why Gramps threw Luffy here. If we didn't follow you, we'd be alone. And being alone is way worse than getting hurt. What about your parents? Ace asks. Dunno. Can't say I ever met him. At least, not in this world, I add silently. What about Gramps? We just met literally 5 minutes before he took Luffy away. I followed and apparently that's the ticket for me to get adopted. I see, but I still don't like brats like you. He concludes and I just scoff mockingly. Says the guy who got his ass kicked by me. I snicker and he immediately turns around with fury in his eyes. What did you say? You hear me, Freckles. What did you call me, weirdo? I thought you lack common sense, not hearing sense. I'm gonna kill you. I'd like to see you try. We both literally just growling and ready to pounce at each other, but Sabo quickly stands between us. Okay, that's enough. Sorry to bother both of your fighting sessions, but we still have a problem. Sabo informs us, crossing his arms with a serious expression. Blue Jam will try to kill the 4 of us for sure, right? And I live being close to where they are. What if they come at me when I'm resting? Yeah, you'd die. Luffy, Ace, and me collectively say. Then stay with us. I'm sure old lady Dayton won't mind. I say, while giving a devious smile inside for the disaster for Dayton family to come. You can stay with us to hide, and then sometimes we go check on them once in a while also making traps all over the place so those stupid pirates could fell for it. That way, we can beat them up while they're stuck in the traps. I explain further and all of their eyes lighten up and grin. That's a good idea. You're so smart, Maris. Luffy says as Sabo ruffles my hair and Ace nods. Then we're off on our way back to the shack, but I was more injured than everyone thought, mine included, that I got exhausted faster and actually slowed the others down, but Sabo kindly offers to give me a piggyback until we arrive at our destination, which I immediately accept. Seeing that, Ace huffs and comments that he's too soft, and Sabo just shrugs. When we finally arrive at the shack, we just plop down on the floor to take a rest, covering ourselves with a cloth that serves as our blanket. I'd love to lay on a bed instead of hard flooring, but I guess using Luffy as a pillow is good enough. And not even 5 minutes later, I drift off to dreamland while hugging onto Luffy. XXX. I woke up from Dayton's loud scream. I sit up and look up with sleepy eyes to see Dayton, just staring at us with pure shock and disbelief, but also filled with questions, and she wants answers immediately. So noisy, it's still early in the morning. I say and yawn before falling back to sleep. I wake up again to hear Dayton yelling at Sabo and he keeps on answering her along with farts. I just chuckle and sit back up, rubbing my eyes and yawning out. It keeps on going for a while until Dayton eventually gives up and sighs in defeat. Ace, Luffy, Maris, and Sabo. From now on you brats are under my care, so you better work hard from now on. She exclaims out and I just grin. I knew Dayton is as soft as jelly inside under that scary face and behavior. Dayton, you're so soft to children, aren't you? I comment in amusement and she gives me a sharp look. Shut your trap, brat. I just laugh and I hop on my feet. Oh, the pain all over my body isn't as bad as yesterday. That's a little weird, but a welcomed one. Ace, Luffy, Maris. You got chores to do. Dayton shouts and I just grimace at the impending chores to do. Sharing the same brainwave as me, Ace, Sabo, Luffy and I immediately bolt off outside, ignoring Dayton's shouting. I just snicker at that, running after the older boys before Sabo suddenly stops. Luffy bounces off from that, and I join the crash. Hey Dayton, while we're gone, the Blue Jam pirate crew might come, so be careful. Sabo warns, we kinda beat up some of his crew, so be careful. We continue our running through the forest. Ace and Sabo are pretty fast, and both Luffy and me are trying our best to keep up with them despite my injuries aren't that painful anymore. Dayton sure is an understanding old hag. Sabo comments, she's still a worthless old hag. Ace replies, she's a mountain bandit and her face is scary. Luffy adds, I just laugh in amusement. Man, poor Dayton, she kept on being made fun of by the boys. So, what are we going to do now? Sabo asks, let's eat. Luffy and I exclaim in sync. Sabo laughs and agrees. When we reach the lake near the shack, both Ace and Sabo somehow managed to catch themselves a huge ass fish while Luffy was busy drowning with me saving his ass, and they didn't even share it with us. They just casually eat it in front of us while Luffy is literally drooling and I just stare at the scene in disbelief. The hell, how can they eat it without sharing some to us? Jerks. So Luffy, so you're a devil fruit user, right? Sabo asks and Luffy nods. Yeah, well, no wonder you can't swim, he comments before throwing us the tail part of the fish for us to eat. Luffy catches it in glee and thanks him before offering it to me as he bites on it, but I just shake my head. You eat it. The tail part is not my favorite. I'm not that hungry anyway. I lie with a smile and Luffy frowns at that. Actually, that part has barely any meat on it, and I don't like it. But you haven't eaten anything since yesterday morning. Luffy points out. Nah, I'll be fine. Go eat it. I reassure him as I busy myself by balancing up rocks on top of each other. I can still feel Luffy's unhappy look on me, but he didn't say anything as he gulped the tail down in one go. So, what fruit did you eat? Sabo asks. Gomu Gomu. Gomu. So rubber. Yep. I keep my concentration on my rock balancing as the boys are focused on Luffy's rubbery skill. It is almost finished, until Luffy accidentally slaps it because of his nonsense argument with Ace. I just stare at the destroyed rocks with a blank look before letting out a deep sigh, bangs covering my eyes. I can hear Luffy yelps a bit when I stand up before turning around to look at them both with a sweet smile. I calmly approach them and put my hands on their shoulders, as a dark aura starts to spread behind me while I still smile sweetly at them. Luffy, I know you know better than to upset me, right? Luffy nods vigorously, colors are drained from his face while Ace starts to notice what is happening. Then I let my smile wear off to my blank yet furious face as I look down on them, my bangs shadowing my eyes. Gathering my will to my fists, I give them both an upside-down punch on the head. Then why did you make me upset? I'm just fuming at both of them as Luffy actually screams that it hurts while holding the bump, and Ace looks ready to murder me while he's also holding his. I just snarl menacingly at him and on my pouncing stance, and Ace readies himself to fight me, but Sabo quickly stops us. Alright, that's enough, you ferals. So we did. We look away from each other, I just HMPH'd while Ace just TCH'd in return. Seeing both of us calming down, Sabo turns back to Luffy to talk about his power being able to bounce off cannonballs and shits like that, before showing off one of his skills, Gomu Gomu no Fusen. He sucks in the air to make himself like a balloon and Sabo seems amazed by it, and then Ace suddenly kicks Luffy up into the air while mocking Luffy along. Stop it, you bastard. I yell as I push him down, but he easily just pushes me back and off to kick Luffy into the air along with Sabo again, until Luffy falls into the lake and a huge crocodile just easily gulps him down. I just yell Luffy's name as my eyes bulge out. You dumbass. Look what you did. I yell at the older boys. Shut up. Ace yells back before both of them jump in and kill the croc. They manage to get Luffy out from the croc's stomach by using the gross method and I just grimace in disgust seeing Luffy is covered by bile and shits like that. Go wash up first, you gross. I quickly told him when he was about to walk up to me, before noticing that his hat was nowhere on him and actually still on the water. I quickly jump into and swim up to grab it before swimming back to the shore. Lucky me, there's no more croc around so my journey back and forth is a safe one. Pulling myself out from the water, I walk up to Luffy, who is washing himself up by the shore and give it to him. Thanks. No problem, Luffy. I reply as I squeeze my hair and shirt to dry, and then notice Ace approaching me. Why the hell did you do that? Ace asks, probably talking about me pushing him down before and I roll my eyes. Because, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why did you do that to him? I reply with my hands on my hips and leaning a bit in annoyance. I've always been overprotective toward my friends and siblings, except for distant relatives I never close with in the first place. Because, we saved him in the end. He returns with arms crossed on his chest as he leans down at me and we glare at each other. You shouldn't have kicked him in the first place. So what? Then he shouldn't have been a lame ass in the first place. He just fucking turned into Rubber Boy not even half a year ago. Of course he's going to be lame. You don't just up and be perfect on things you just learned. Use the brain you don't seem to use, idiot. What did you say, weirdo? You hear me, Freckles. We both growl at each other as our foreheads touch each other and I can feel sparks before we both jump at each other with a loud snarl. He throws punches while I dodge most of them before biting on his arm, making him screech out in pain and punching me on my head. I let my grip go to throw him an uppercut, which got him straight on his chin and made him even angrier. We literally just fight each other for 5 minutes until Sabo and Luffy manage to pull us apart and we're off back to the shack with the croc in tow. Despite everything, Luffy is still mad at them for making him get eaten, while I'm scowling like mad and has a disturbing aura behind me as I glare at Ace from behind. I can feel that Ace's neck hairs start to stand, but he just says that he will give Luffy meat and just like that, Luffy easily forgives him while I just scowl deeper. But before we can go back with our hunt in tow, Sabo says that he wants to check on something, so we take a different turn to where we first met, aka the huge tree. There are Blue Jam's men around, and so we move to check on Gray Terminal. And just like before, people are searching for us and we eventually are found that we immediately bolt off. We hide in the woods somewhere and just wheezing, especially me. Fucking hell, this is not good for my health. Or maybe it is good. Because I barely moved my body before that it's not normal anymore, but now I'm getting enough exercise almost every day it slowly returns back to its normal state. Maybe. I can't believe that even the guys in Gray Terminal are looking for us too. We should lay low for a while. Sabo suggests. Just fight the people who get in our way. Ace huffs. That would end up with unnecessary fights, dumbass. I retorted. Both Luffy and Sabo agree while Ace just scowls in silence. What a nice character development right there. I'm pretty proud, I must say. Eventually we go back with the croc in tow to cook and eat for dinner. Of course, I fight my way to eat in peace against the adults, per culture of this shack. As I take a bite, I'd say that croc meat isn't that bad. It's kinda like chicken, but also kinda like fish. It's pretty okay, but maybe that's because I haven't eaten for almost a day and I was starving. I lay around with Luffy when I'm done, stomach bulging, while some of the bandits are sulking because there are no more. I was about to doze off when a foot landed on my stomach. My eyes snap open in a glare when I see Ace is smirking at me. Sorry, didn't see you there. Ace sneers. I growl and jump to my feet before shouting out his name as I jump at him. He just smirks wider and gives me a punch in the head. I let out a snarl as I tackle him down and strangle him by the neck. He yelps and tries to pull my arms off his neck while slapping the floor. Someone younger than you is beating you down. Ha 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 ha. Sabo laughs in amusement and Ace is not amused. I just grin and snicker deviously before I let him go and he hit me in the head in return. He stomps off while I just stick my tongue at him, although I also notice his ears are pretty red. It kinda hurts when he hits my head, but at least I get to see him getting embarrassed. It's kinda cute, actually. Chapter 10 updated. Weeks passed, and we eventually settle in with a new schedule, sparring session, or SS for short, to get stronger. It's a pretty good pastime session, for me especially. Back in home world, I was too busy on my gadgets and internet to actually exercise, so this is a good way for me to basically rehabilitate myself from that lifestyle, considering phones are basically just snails here. But back to the SS, as per usual, Luffy had been lost almost all of the fights. Well, he won about 5 times against me, but didn't have a chance when against the older boys. I did win a few times fighting them though, even Ace. Which is a little weird, considering I barely move around that my body isn't normal anymore before, but it's a welcome change. Let me tell you how my sparring highlights for today. The first one was Luffy. I stood there as Luffy ran to me shouting his, "Gomu Gomu no pistol," but he missed and his arm stretched far away from the target. When the arm was right in front of my mouth, I bit his arm and he screeched. It stretched back to him and I gave him a kick in the stomach before letting his arm go as he flew back. And before he could get up, I quickly ran and jumped to him, landing butt first on his stomach, making it an instant victory. The second was Sabo. I decided to fight him first, because I'm saving the best for the last. I decided to attack him first and ran to him, throwing a fist to him. He dodged and kicked me on my side, making me flew away a few meters back. But I'm not giving up that I quickly back on my feet and ran up to him. Again, he tried to kick me again, but I quickly sidestepped to the side before hitting him on the chin using the heel of my open palm. Being short had its advantage, but also disadvantages like having a short range on your strikes. Long story short, Sabo kicked me off again and that's about it. It was a good match, but I should make my strikes stronger and faster, like Luffy's jet pistol. The last was Ace. We glared for a second and I braced for an attack before we ran and started to attack each other. I blocked his attacks for a few times and jumped back, panting. I grinned while he smirked, ran and started the fight again. Sometimes I swiped my hands at him, scratched him with my long nails I haven't trimmed it and made him bleed a little, while he gave me a punch on the face and sometimes he yanked my long hair, before he landed the last kick on me that rolled me off on the ground for a few meters away. When it stopped, my eyes were literally spinning and it was making me sick. I lost, but that's just because he's strong and I just got the hang on this fighting bullshit. And that's basically most of the highlights for today's SS, but I still have one more match with him, and this time I'll make sure I win. As dizziness starts to reside, I can hear Ace and Sabo start their sparring session. I just lay down in place while Luffy is watching them next to me. I sit back up and shake my head, starting to focus to the fight. I can see Ace give Sabo a punch that he flies off to the air, making it Ace's victory. Damn, it's always a close match between Ace and Sabo. Luffy says, and I just nod in return as we watch Ace lands on the ground on his feet while Sabo is on his back. Yeah, they're probably been doing this for a while now. I comment, Sabo, I get to fight you. Luffy yells as he enters the arena, and Ace walks back to the spectacle resting area. I watch them sparring before catching Ace looking at me. I give him my best, "I'm gonna beat you," look and he returns it with a smug grin that says, "Beat me if you can." Oh, you'll see later, Ace. I'm gonna beat your ass after Luffy and Sabo finish theirs. And the fight ends in just less than a minute, with Luffy rolling and scaling up the tree before gravity pulls him back. I laugh at him before I hop back on my feet as Ace walks up to the spot across me and we nod at each other. This time, he runs at me first and attacks first with his right fist, but I know that it's a bluff because he's ambidextrous, so I quickly dodge his punch by sliding under him before striking him with the heel of my palm to his neck. That stuns him nicely as I quickly kick his footings and tackles him down, holding him down by sitting on his chest. I just grin and chuckles menacingly as I poke him in the eyes and he screeches out. Thus ends with my victory. "Ha, I told you I'm gonna kick your ass today." I sneer with my hands on my hips, not minding Ace's sightless glare at me. Luffy is super ecstatic on my victory while Sabo just grins while tallying up the scores. I'm super bad at math and whatever Sabo was talking about, it sounds like he's speaking tongue to me. All I know is that I won plenty and that's all that matters to me. Stop speaking tongues, Sabo. Let's just celebrate my victory against Ace by eating croc meat. I exclaim out with my fists in the air. Sabo just laughs at the reaction and Luffy is ecstatic to eat meat, while Ace just huffs in annoyance and watery eyes, but they agree in the end. We drop by the shack to get changed before we're off again to hunt croc, while also ignoring Dayton's yelling for not doing chores. Both me and Luffy got our own pipe staff, and it's pretty convenient for me, considering my short attack range. I still prefer to use my body and limbs to fight, but I need to learn all sorts of fighting skills if I want to keep my friends and family safe. But back to getting croc meat, they're pretty tasty, but not as tasty as chickens. We usually sell the animal hides and save the money up for buying pirate ship, but I know how it ends that sometimes I ask to give some to me, just in case. Ace wasn't thrilled, but Sabo just shrugged and gave me some. When we finally arrive near the lake, we climb on a tree branch of a tree that's above a riverbed where the crocs are resting. "Luffy, don't get eaten this time," Sabo says and I snicker at that. Then Luffy and I look at each other and nod, giving a signal. I grin deviously. "This will be fun. Luffy, you wait here. You can't swim and croc meat." At that on-sync signal, both Luffy and I jump, ignoring Ace's yelling before the other two follow along. We easily beat it up, so I guess the training came in handy, but I'm still not used to using pipe staff as a weapon, so I need to train using it. Once we tied the croc up, we bring it back to the shack and let Dayton to cook it up. I need to buy spices sometime later, if I didn't forget each time we're at the town. I guess for the last few weeks, I'm pretty happy. Luffy is happy too, so I think that's all that matters. Ace likes to stare and keeps starting to butt heads with me plenty for some reason, and Sabo keeps on calling me weirdo in a nonchalant nickname way for some reason, but despite that I think our relationships are starting to get better. And thanks to SS, Luffy gets to control his new power better, and I get to move my body like normal people would again, maybe even better. My stamina endurance begins to grow and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to run for 10 minutes non-stop. And I'm moving faster than Luffy too, which is a little weird. Ever since I dropped into this world, my physical strengths start to increase and far better than back in my home world. Other than that, apparently in this universe the language people use here called common language. It doesn't sound or look like Japanese or English or whatever languages back in home world, but everyone's voices are still the same like in the anime, it's just different language. The writings are also different, and the most shocking of all, I can read and speak of the language. It was very bizarre, but I never actually focus on that fact as I'm too busy following the boys, especially Luffy, around. But unfortunately for me, I can't write the language. It's a shame, but back at Makino's place, I tend to teach myself by copying the newspapers, but now sometimes I ask Dayton or even the boys to teach me how to write common. Of course, Dayton always super annoyed to do it, but she'll do it anyway sometimes. Luffy and Ace don't know how to teach, which end up with Sabo actually teaching us how to write, read, and speak, because despite the fact that we're going to be pirates, we still need to know the basic 3 forms of communication. Of course, I aced the speaking and reading, but my writing is bad. The language has 2 forms, the Japanese and the English. The Japanese is the curly, non-blocky type of writing of the language, and English is the blocky one. I have no problem with the latter, but I'm super shitty at the former. Then again, Luffy and Ace's writings on both are chicken scratch at best, so I'm still better than those two. Luffy's handwriting is that of a child, which is fitting because he is 1, but Ace is practically at the same level as him. It was a little fun to tease Ace about it, although it always ends with a painful reminder for teasing him. But today isn't the time for communication lesson. It's time to hunt for more easy money. To be honest, today is a little hot, but not as hot as my home country. The summertime is almost over, but all of the cicadas are still around and they're so fucking noisy, and the mosquitoes when it's near noon are just insane. Their shells fetch a nice pocket money though, so sometimes I hunt for the shells to sell along with the animal hide, and I usually bring Luffy along to help me up. After meal, both of us are off into the forest again, still ignoring Dayton's shouting for us to do chores. Luffy doesn't really care as long as he gets to do adventuring and maybe catch some beetles along the way while I do my business. I kind of want to invite Ace and Sabo too, but I think they'll refuse because it's childish. I actually think so too, but this is a nice experience for me because I've never done it before. When we finally arrive at where the cicadas are crying out, I see one on a tree branch, just molting away. I just watch in awe, despite it's not my first time seeing one in this world, but it's still fascinating to watch. Whoa, I mutter softly. When the molting is over, I start to climb on the tree and reach for the skin. Considering the cicada itself is still in a weak state, I try to gently move the cicada away from the skin before an impulsive thought pop in my mind. I wonder what cicada tastes like. Not thinking much, I grab the recently molted cicada and pop it into my mouth, and completely missing Luffy's look of horror as I chew on it. It tastes okay, I guess. Kinda nutty and shrimpy. Not bad, but I still like chicken best. Once I finish my business, I jump back down and finally realizing Luffy's disbelief look. What? I ask in confusion. Why did you eat the cicada? Luffy asks and I blink. Curiosity. I answer innocently, it tastes pretty okay, if you're curious. Kinda like shrimp. Really? I didn't know you can eat bugs. Luffy replies in wonder. Oh, you'll be surprised once you start to learn that they have twice protein than regular meat. I tell him as I check on the skin while Luffy just goes, ooh. It's a pretty okay condition. I can sell it. So what's that? Luffy asks as he looks closer to the skin in my hand. Cicada's skin. It's going to give us nice money if I sell it to the medics in town. Come on, let's head back so I can grab my satchel and start searching for more. I tell him as I run back to the shack to grab my satchel, with Luffy behind me. We barge into the house and quickly up to our room. We kind of crash into Dayton and make her fall over. After I grab it, we run off again and this time we crash into Ace and Sabo, making them yell at us. We just laugh and shout, sorry, as we run back into the forest. For what seemingly almost 5 hours, I managed to collect all of the skins I found and carefully put them in my satchel, while Luffy found 2 big-ass beetles. I guess those are the famous Hercules and Atlas. I don't know, I'm not an expert on bugs. Hey Luffy, can I sell those 2 later? They're quite a price, you know. I ask him. What? You're gonna sell them? No, not until I make them fight each other. He answers and I just shrug. Well, I guess that's fine. But we'll sell them off later, okay. We'll share the money between us too. I tell him and he nods. Okay, let's head back. It's almost noon. Ace and Sabo would get worried later. I say and Luffy starts to talk about things as we head back to the shack, while I just listen to him and just respond with hums and nods. As we enter the shack, Ace and Sabo are nowhere in sight. They must be hunting for dinner, but Dayton is here and just enjoying her sake in silence. Oi old lady Dayton, where's Ace and Sabo? I ask. They went out, hunting for dinner. Oh, okay then. But just when I'm about to go to our room, Ace and Sabo came home with a big antlered deer in tow. My eyes gleam when I see the antlers. I quickly put down my satchel in a safe spot and run up to it, while Luffy is calling them and showing the beetles off. They turn and grin. Wait, the only one who is grinning is Sabo, while Ace just looks at him blankly. Anyway, the deer is being skinned and the antlers are still in good condition, so I decide that I'm going to take them and sell them off along with the cicada skins tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they're worth enough money for my savings. Excuse me, can you give the antlers to me please? I ask to the one bandit who is skinning the deer. Yeah sure, we can't use it anyway. Here take it, the bandit says as he gives me the antlers. They're a bit bloodied, but I grab them anyway and thank them as I grab my satchel and run off to our room. I put them all in a box safely and grab 2 small cages for the beagles. I stole the cages from the town a week ago just because I felt like it, and now my sticky hands tendencies turn out to be useful. After I finish, I go back out and jump down with the cages in hands, but accidentally landing on Dayton's head feet first. I quickly run towards the boys before Dayton recover, but she yells out in anger and starts to chase me around. I quickly throw the cages to Sabo and just laugh while she's chasing me around. Luffy laughs along, but the older boys are just watching in amusement. After a full 3 minutes playing cat and mouse with Dayton, she finally gives up and walks away, leaving me alone. I give her crazy faces for a few times before I go back to where the boys are. I see that Luffy is trying to put in the beetles into the cages, but somehow he can't do it. That Sabo decides to help him up. So, which one won? I ask Luffy. Atlas won, Luffy says with a grin. Really? That's awesome. I thought Hercules will, but I guess I was wrong. I reply as I look at them from the cage. They're cute and cool, but I only care if they can give me money or not. I see that Ace is just sitting there, staring at Luffy and Sabo specifically. A devious idea pop in my mind and I chuckle evilly before I jump at him and kick him in his side. That pisses him off as he's about to hit me, but I quickly up to my feet and run around, laughing while he chases me and yelling that he's going to kill me. Eventually he got me and hit me in the head. I let out an, ow, and rub the bump while Ace sits back down, but I just giggle and decide to sit between his legs and lean on him. He freezes up a bit as I stretch and lean my weight on him, but didn't push me off. I yawn a bit as the fatigue from today start to get me. It's going to take some time until dinner time and Ace is pretty warm for the cold summer night, so I decide to take a short nap. Ace is surprisingly a good warm bed.